This is not going to take much. After the aretha start to sweat already. So we're going to do a little exercise. I want you to follow me very carefully, okay? I want you to raise your right hand above your head. And I want you to stretch it as far as you can. Stretch it. Stretch it. Stretch. Are you stretch it as far as you can? Now I want you to stretch it just a little bit more. All right. Very good. Take it down. I want you to take away two things from this exercise. First is, when do you know that you have unlocked your greatest potential? Not achieved your greatest potential, but unlocked it. Because we may never get to our greatest potential, because it's a journey, right? The second thing is, what is the value of a coach in getting you to unlock your greatest potential? And that's what today's training is about. It's not to fill your head with a lot of knowledge, necessarily. We know a lot of things, alhamdulillah. But we need that coaching to push ourselves, to go just a little more beyond what we think. When I told you just push it just a little more, when you thought that that's as far as you could go, and I told you push it just a little more, you all were able to go just a little bit more, even if it was half a millimeter more. You were able to do that, right? And this is the value of the coach. Brother Musa knows it very well. He trains in martial arts. This is the value that the coach brings to our lives. It's not that we know stuff and we act upon it, but we always need the encouragement and we need the motivation to keep going, to do better, to strive for better. Having said that, I want to give you a bigger context. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. This surah encompasses what we do as Khateebs, right? We are the exception. We are the exceptions, and we are the exceptions to the exceptions. We are the ones who not only do we do good, right? We do good. We do good, but we also encourage others. We encourage others towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We encourage others towards good, and we encourage others towards patience. This is what we do. And so, why do we do this? Why do we do this? I want to put it in even a bigger context. The mission of ISGH, the Islamic Society of Greater Houston, is Iqamat al-Deen. It's to establish the deen, the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way of life prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the affairs of discipline. And we specifically focus, ISGH, Islamic Society of Greater Houston, specifically focus in this Houston area. Houston and its surrounding cities, right? Harris County and the surrounding counties. We are specifically focused in this area. Now, how do we at Masjid al-Salam act upon this mission? What do we do? What do we do to make this mission possible? To make this mission a reality? The Sheikh and I and others in our community, we have a plan, okay? And we've been working on this for several years, and you may or may not know of it, but you have experienced pieces of it. And that plan is that first, we build the human being. And you will see our programs. We have programs on psychology, we have programs on health, we have programs on taking care of financial needs. We just build the basic human being, regardless of if they're Muslim or not. On top of that, we layer building the Muslim character, building the Muslim behavior, building the Muslim attitude. We layer that on top of building the human being. And so we have classes, like every Sunday we have Riyadh al-Salihin with Sheikh Mamdouh. We have Friday night lectures, we have Quran classes, we have lots of things that go on in our community to do this. The third thing is where you play a very important role, and where this class plays a very important role, and that is building the leaders. So we build the human being, we build the Muslim, and now we build the leaders. And that's the role that you play. And then the next layer above that is building the rest of the community. This is where you go out to the rest of the community and you build. You build this community, this Muslim community that establishes the deen on the face of this earth. This is our vision. And this is the broader context in which this class is taking place today. So, I don't see Brother Danish, he should have been here. But I do want to say, while we're filling in for Brother Danish, maybe Sheikh Mandu will say a few words. But I do want to give you I want to leave with one other thought. And that is, whenever we get to the point when we're giving a khutbah, or we're preparing for a khutbah, and we think that there's not enough time, right? That we need more time, that I have this very important thing to say. I want to leave you with a story. And this story is just 6 words. 6 words. And I want you to figure out what is conveyed in this 6 words. And what is the value of a short story. And the 6 words are this: for sale, baby shoes, never worn. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. What is the story? There's a whole story there, right? There's a beginning, there's an end, and something happened. Something was conveyed, right? The baby died. There was no baby.
Right? Should not have been born.
Never born. Never born. So, and this must be Brother Danish now, just great timing. So, just think about that when you find yourself in the bind. That it's not the words that matter, right? It all comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we have to do. So this must be Brother Danish.
Yes.
Yes, welcome. Please do come up right on time. I just finished my introduction. So Brother Danish is the chairman of the Khateeb committee at ISGH, and he has been very gracious to come today.
It's always pushing up to be on time.
Very good. Brother Danish, I'll read you back. Nice to meet you. Yes, there you go. All right.
No, I'm okay. I'll just stand. I think the camera's also set up to...
Yeah, you can clip it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Is that good?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's fine.
How's everybody doing today? Well, not really early. It's like almost mid-morning. So, inshallah, today I've been given, what, 45 minutes? An hour?
Now 40 minutes.
40 minutes. 40 minutes to discuss some logistical issues, an introduction to the khutbah committee, and have a little discussion with you about, what the type of things we look for when we're approving khutbah and the quality of the khutbah and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of condensing quite a bit into these 40 minutes. We actually do a khutbah training we've been doing since 2019, mainly for new khateebs. So it's a little longer and it's a little bit more detailed step by step. I understand this is not exactly for new khateebs. So a lot of what I'm going to say might be kind of review for you, kind of you've heard it before. So I'm not going to get into details. But if at any point you feel like I'm moving too fast or you don't understand something, then definitely let me know and I'll go into it a little bit more. So just right before we start, what do you think are some questions that you should ask before taking on this, I'm not going to say journey, it's actually a responsibility of giving a khutbah. You're going to, whether you've decided that, okay, or someone has asked you, would you like to be a khateeb? Or would you like to just give a khutbah? What are some questions that you need to ask yourself? Just You don't have to raise your hands. Just
What are the requirements for a valid khutbah?
what are the requirements for a valid khutbah? That falls under fiqh, and that would go to Sheikh Mamdouh, which he will discuss. What else?
Am I qualified?
Are you qualified? Good. That goes back to yourself. That's the question. Obviously, you need to ask yourself. And how do you know you're qualified? Let's go with that.
How do I benefit as a Khateeb and the audience from the khutbah?
Okay. How do I benefit the audience from the khutbah? Okay. How do you know you're qualified? Let's kind of delve into that a little bit more.
I don't either.
Genuinely not wanting to do it.
Okay, that's one requirement. You can say that's a requirement. If you don't want to do it, okay, that's a good thing. What else? This is a tough question. I mean, it's not easy to answer if you think you're going to give a khutbah, right? If someone's asked you to do a khutbah, how do you convince yourself, or how have you convinced yourself that you're qualified or you meet the requirements to give to be a khutbah?
By the person who tells you to give the khutbah.
Okay, so who's the person that's telling you to give the khutbah?
Yeah.
That matters the most.
Mm-hmm.
If it is Sheikh Mamdouh that's asking you, then I'm sure he knows you well enough that he's willing to, put his neck on the line with you on the minbar, right? Because at the end of the day, the person who stands on the minbar and delivers their khutbah is, in a way, representing the minbar of the Prophet ﷺ. So you have to remember that. So if you feel like, you're qualified, you have to really self-reflect. You have to really think about why do I think I'm qualified enough, right? Why does this person, whoever is asking me to give khutbah, think that I am qualified enough to do this, right? And if there is something about yourself, right, that the person that's asking you doesn't know, let's say, but you know that's going to be an issue with you standing up there, because you're going to be judged and criticized and also taken as a role model, right? So I mean, all this that I'm saying is not a means to discourage you, but it's a means to have you self-reflect on the idea of going up there. Because once you're up there and you weren't ready to be up there, you've kind of set yourself back, right? So you have to do twice the thinking, twice the effort to return, if you were to ever return. So I've seen this many times where, once I get into the process a little bit, this will make more sense, where people are put on the minbar at a masjid and then they actually don't really, meet the requirements, to say the least. And once they're taken off, it's very hard for me to put them back on. It takes a lot of thinking on my part, on our committee's part. And once I've informed the AD the reasons why we had to kind of scale the person back a little bit, it's even difficult for the AD to say, okay, going forward. So before you take on that responsibility, make sure you have all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted, and make sure there's nothing there that would disqualify you once you're qualified. I mean, you thinking that you shouldn't be there, that's a natural feeling, right? But if you feel that I deserve to be there, right, then that is not a natural feeling. Nobody deserves to be on there unless you've been unanimously appointed by the community in our times. But in the time of the Prophet obviously he deserved to be there because Allah appointed him. And he's the one who gave us the idea of the khutbah to begin with, right? So, anything else that anybody was holding back before I get into the process of becoming a Khateeb or meeting the requirements? Okay. So there's really, when we look at, if someone say applies to become a Khateeb, there are three main things that we look for, right? Three main things that we have to check off. Three broad categories, you could say. Number one is their moral character, right? Their etiquette, how they portray themselves, how do people perceive this person? Are they someone who already is a role model, who's already someone people who look up to, right? Whether it's the youth in general or the adults, every Khateeb has a kind of niche audience, depending on that. That's number one, right? Number two is your knowledge, right? You can't just not know anything and try to tell people about what to do, right? You have to know something about your religion, right? There's not too much, but not not your basic Sunday school stuff either, right? So you have to know things beyond that, right? There's one part of it is learning something. The next part is actually processing that knowledge and being able to deliver it again. So that requires knowing what type of sources that you can reference, right? What is the authentic source? Like obviously the Quran is authentic, right? All of it. We don't have any doubts about it. But if you're going to take a verse of the Quran and try to give the audience an interpretation, how do you know your interpretation is correct, right? So you have to know where you're taking your knowledge from to begin with. What are authentic sources? What aren't? Same with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, right? How do you know if a hadith is authentic? How do you know what you're going to say is going to be valid, right? So these are type of things that we don't necessarily we aren't necessarily taught in Sunday school, right? This is something you have to learn from someone who already knows how to do this, right? And that the easiest answer for that would be your local imam, a resident scholar, or a person of knowledge, right? So if you don't want to get into like the nitty-gritty, the easiest way, right, for you to ensure that the knowledge that you're delivering is authentic is that you take khutbahs from scholars that are widely accepted, right? If they're saying something, 95% of the time, whatever they're saying is going to be authentic. Maybe like that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, they may have made an error. Everybody's prone to that, right? So that can come up. I'm not giving, there's no 100% guaranteed way not to make a mistake in this regard. Everybody makes mistakes. So with that, the third part, what did I say? The moral character of a person.
Knowledge.
The knowledge. Number 3 is the khutbah itself. How you prepare the khutbah and the delivery. Right? These are 3 main ingredients. Right? There's some other things that fall under each of these. So with those 3 things in mind, so when someone applies to become a Khateeb in our rotation, what we do is we have them fill out a form. It's called the Khateeb information form. It gives us all their demographic information. If you say that's your standard name, date of birth, where are you from, where do you live, what masjid you go to, your age, your gender, and all that kind of stuff. Then we have the aspect of what your background Islamic studies are, right? So this you would list like if you've ever taken courses, if you've completed a program, if you studied with a local scholar or national or international scholar or whatever, you'd list that if you have any ijazat or anything like that. That's just for our own record so we can review it. Just in general, you don't have to tell us, exactly how many hours of what class you did with who, right? You just need a general idea, and then with that general idea we can say, okay, this person has put in a little bit of effort in learning their religion, right? We don't get too scrutinous about this. The only time we get a little scrutinous if your dates are kind of don't match up. Like you did a PhD when you're 15 years old, or you did a PhD, master's, and bachelor's the same year. Then we're like, what's going on here? The only reason I mentioned this is because we've gotten applications like that. We had a Khateeb once, he put his bachelor's, he finished beginning of 1 year, and then master's the end of that year, and PhD the very next year. You're like, okay, this sounds like a diploma. You're just, buffing up your credentials. And then, your profession and a little bit about yourself, and then we have a section for references and some disclaimers that you have to fill out, right? So references, if you want to just give, we usually ask for 3 references. These are, 3 or 2. If it's going to be 2, if you have your local imam or the sheikh give you a reference, this qualifies as for your knowledge and your moral character, right? So these are the 2 that we ask for. If the sheikh gives it, for these 2, he just needs to send us an email saying that this person I feel is qualified to become a Khateeb, and I feel like his knowledge level and his moral character are up to par for this role. So that, the sheikh counts for 2, essentially. The last one is going to be anyone from the community that is in a leadership role, right? So your AD, someone who's in charge of a committee. This is just the general community. If you don't have a sheikh, then we need 3, obviously. One of them being a person of knowledge, right? Any person of knowledge, or someone who's in charge of, like specifically like the education department, the khutbah department, something to do with da'wah and education. So that's the third part, basically, that we look for. So once that comes through, we look over it, then we kind of contact the references, or if it's someone in the reference is someone like, if it's Brother Azhar, let's say, right? So I just give him a call. If he tells me, I just noted in my notes that I talked to Brother Azhar, that he said it's okay. So all 3 are referenced. Or if you're someone that we already know, like if you've worked with us, if like Sheikh Mamdu, let's say, he already emailed us that this person is gonna apply, I approve, or something like that, then we just kind of speed that through without too much scrutiny, right? And once that's done, then you'll get an email from us telling you that, okay, you're approved. Tell us what message you prefer, what's your availability. When the next cycle of our scheduling comes, then you'll get the form to fill it out. But for now, just fill that out. So once, we run our schedules every 3 to 6 months. So once you tell us, we'll fill in the slots if there's anything open, or if the masjid has requested you to give khutbah already, then we'll just schedule you for that slot. That's pretty much all that happens. Any questions about that part? Yes.
Who's we?
The khutbah committee. So I personally look over it almost all the time. I don't share it with anyone unless it's something like, say, Southeast, Brother Kamran runs the entire Southeast area. So that's 4 or 5 masajid. So if I have a question about someone, I'll send it to him. I'm like, I received this, he's from your area, do you know this person or not? If it's a name I don't recognize. And he'll tell me, okay, yeah, this is someone from Masjid Abu Bakr, the masjid knows him, he does this and this is the masjid. So automatically approved. Like, I think from Southeast, we had like Imam Muhammad al-Faruqi Jr., right? His dad was the Imam. He told us that he's going to be helping me out of the masjid with the Eid stuff and stuff. So that didn't require anything, right? So he sent it to me. I shared it with Kamran. Do you know him? Did you talk to him? Is he good to go? So that's who we are, the committee itself. Yes.
Do you have a backup list for Khateebs? Backup list.
Backup list?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
For me, just you have a regular, just those Khateeb, you need samples, like to be standby in case somebody to show up.
So, you're in our group, right? So
Yeah.
that's how we use the backup. Basically.
Oh, that one? Okay.
Everybody who's not scheduled is backup.
That's
Because you don't know, sometimes what happens is, okay, we make a primary Khateeb list, and make a backup list, both of them went out of town together. When you do that, we still have the same security. So we just have the primary khutbah, Khateeb for the masajid, and then whoever's available that day and can go to the masjid, they volunteer. Yes. Champions works a little differently because I know Champions, Brother Abdul Razak Haruna is the Jummah coordinator, so he already has backups over here. But as the khutbah committee, we only handle the first khutbah, and for that we don't have selected backups for the masjid unless the masjid already says, okay, if someone doesn't show up, we have someone who's back. Yes?
I'm assuming the whole committee is called out, right? The people on the committee.
No,
So,
we're mostly we're just volunteers. I used to be a Khateeb. When I joined the committee, I'm backup for everyone. So, I'm the third backup after that. So if we don't find anyone on Friday, and if I'm in town, then I'll just show up to the masjid wherever it is in town. So I'm a Khateeb. Brother Abdul Razak, he's part of the committee. He's a Khateeb. Brother Kamran is in. Brother Farhan, he's from Southwest. Sorry, he's a Khateeb. I think that's pretty much it for now for the. Yeah, go ahead.
What if you never applied and you were just asked to do it? Do we still have to go through an application
So
process?
the applications right now, it's only for the first khutbah.
Okay.
Right? For the first khutbah, if you've been asked, you still have to fill out the application.
I see.
Right? But when it comes to champions, if it's coming from Brother Reza or Brother Abdul Razak, it's like a quicker, like I'll do it the day of, you know, like I'll just look over it. If nothing pops up that's glaring, then you'll be good, right? But second and third khutbah right now, it's not something that's under our department to approve. It's for each local masjid to decide. But going forward, I don't know, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, but we want to make all khateebs at a standard level, right? Because at the end of the day, doesn't matter what people say, all khutbahs matter, okay? All khutbahs matter, first, second, or third, right? It's not just the first khutbah that needs to happen, because the people are still people, right? It's not like the first khutbah gets the most pious people all the time, right? Or the people who need the khutbah the most. All khutbahs matter because the people, they just kind of go wherever they feel like it. That's just in the pattern, right? So it makes sense for all khutbah to be at the same level, right? At least the lowest common denominator for all of them. Obviously, we're going to try to put the imams and the shuyukh and people who have like amazing khutbahs and stuff at the khutbah that's the most, most attended. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But that's gonna be, I mean, executive board, a couple years ago, before the pandemic, asked me to do that. I said we'll take it a little bit at a time because some masajid still want to like randomly choose whoever they put up. I mean, it's interesting, like the dynamics, if you go to some masjids, it's like, oh, this person has been given khutbah for 20, 30 years and he's our biggest donor, that's why he gets to keep it. And we can't remove him even though he has some of the worst khutbahs ever, right? Unfortunately, that's the case, but that needs to go, and I think part of the executive board did realize that. And I can't fight with that, as khutbah committee. I just say, okay, I'm in charge of first khutbah until you tell me otherwise.
I have a technical,
Yeah.
a little bit technical question.
Go ahead.
One is, so far from what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
is like a khutbah choice, khateeb choice is based on recommendation and personal relationships, like knowing someone.
Yeah.
But there is no criteria, like there is no rubric for ISGH, like to say a khateeb has to be someone who knows 1, 2, 3, 4. So based on that, you kind of like sift through who applies or who is recommended.
So I can share with you right now, actually.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
Second is like also, is there any interview process? And that interview is done by like a scholar or not? Like, volunteers and everything, but like for example, if somebody volunteers from Champion or Abdul Razak Haruna tells me, I would interview the person, I would listen to his khutbah, or I'll train him to do khutbah if he has the potential but he doesn't know it. Does ISGH have something like that?
So the first question, we have something called the standardized criteria for khateeb approval and certification. It's still a proposed draft. It's something that was drafted in 2019. It was looked over by about eight imams and scholars in the area. There's about 27 others that's pending to go, because you're included in that. So based off that that group of 8, we still make changes up until 2020 to kind of refine it before it goes out to everyone. Because if I send it out to 30 people, then I got to make changes from 30 people right there. So if the 8 make the changes and we think it's a good document, we'll send it out once it's approved. That's going to be the standard criteria for all khateebs going forward. And then as far as your second question, I personally call every khateeb that applies to coordinate this process. So if I get, like I said, if I get something from the imam or the sheikh or the resident scholar, then that's it. I mean, I don't need to look into that more. But if it's someone that's, that has no good reference, then I investigate it further, right? So more than just talking to the person, I mean, if they have like a silver tongue, they're gonna sound really nice to me and everything looks good, even if I meet them and stuff. But what I do is I ask what community he's from and ask more than just a reference list before I put him. And even if it's like lukewarm, you know, like if I can give a really strong thumbs up, then what I do is I tell them, okay, I'm gonna put you in touch with this and this masjid's coordinator. You're gonna start off with the second khutbah. We'll see how that goes. And by the time the next scheduling cycle starts, if everything looks good, the AD's happy, everybody's happy, if they want you on the first khutbah, I'll get you on. And right now, it's the situation, just the way the situation is, we have almost all masjids, like I'd say 60% of the masjid, all the masjids, 60% of all the masjids have an imam or a resident scholar. So that means that at least 25% to 50% of the khutbahs are taken up for first khutbah by the imam or the resident scholar, depending on whatever agreement. So to bring someone new into the first khutbah is difficult anyway, unless there's a extenuating circumstance. Like I think Masjid Salam came this program, so some of these khateebs have gone to the first khutbah that usually didn't come to first khutbah in the past. So, but that's part of a program, so that's different, you know. Any other questions before we go forward? All right. So the last, so the next part, raising your hands? No? All right. So the next part, so I'm not going to discuss this document that I referred to, the standardized criteria for Khateeb approval and certification. It's about 2-3 pages, and it kind of lists what exactly we look for the Islamic ethical and moral uprightness part, and more detailed is the Islamic knowledge part. Right? Obviously, things like you know, your tajweed can't have like major mistakes. You know, your Arabic should be good enough to deliver the Arabic portion of the khutbah. Obviously, you know, your basic things that we take for granted a lot of times, that every Muslim should really know. but we have to list it out, so that's why it takes 3 pages, just because of the situation we're in. So, you know, even Arabic, like we're not expecting you to be like, you know, an expert grammarian or something like that, but you should know like what you're saying, right? Like if whatever surah you're reciting, whatever Arabic portion you're delivering, whatever Arabic portion is part of the salah, then you have to know that it's not. And then, you know, your basic Islamic knowledge topics like Iman, Aqidah, fiqh, all the fiqh that's what you call basic fiqh, you know, your 5 pillars type things. And then there would be a stronger emphasis on tarbiyah type topics, right? You know, stories of the prophets, adab, all this kind of stuff. You'd have to invest a lot more time in that if you're starting off from zero, essentially. Because a lot of the content that you deliver takes examples from things that people can relate to, right? If you know, take examples from some top scholar that nobody knows, but he's only known in certain circles, right, as an expert or whatever, people aren't going to be able to relate to that, right? But if you say Ibrahim alayhi salam, like everybody's able to relate to that, right? Or some incident in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people are going to be able to relate to it because it's easier for them to process, right? So those are the type of things we have listed in Islamic knowledge, and then speech, content and delivery, how to create a khutbah and your delivery itself, right? This is noted about what you know, usually that requires like a recording of your khutbah for us to review if you're going to be you know, approved in this process. So what's going to happen initially is basically when someone applies, you're approved as a khatib on the rotation, and then if you want to be quote unquote certified, then that's where the that document's first going to take. Sorry, the brother protocol. So that's where that standardized criteria is going to come into place. Once we have sufficient people certified, then that's the only thing that's going to matter. That's how we're going to phase it in. If you're wondering, I'm going to turn this off. Sorry, this phone almost never works. Okay, and the last part, we'll just go into a little bit about the logistics, right? Obviously, if you're scheduled at the khutbah, make sure you have the number for you know. So let's just take it in a timeline fashion, right? You're asked to do the khutbah at Champions. Let's just say second khutbah. First time ever doing it. Can I just take this real quick? Give me like 1 second. I'm actually delivering offer, so I'll be there in like a minute. Yeah,
I had some marital obligations that I did.
Or I can come to this one.
I'm not being able to do film, really.
Like it's live.
Sorry about that. Okay. So you're scheduled at Masjid al-Salam, second khutbah, let's say 2:45. I don't remember the exact time.
2:30.
2:30. What do you do? What's some checklist items that you have to make? You've never given a khutbah here before. You don't even know where the masjid is when they ask you. Right? So what are some checklist items that you have to go through?
You have to know the masjid first.
You have to know the masjid.
Where the masjid is.
Is there another Masjid Salam? Or make sure there's only one.
Distance.
The address, the distance, how long is it going to take you to get here? The number of the AD, very important, or whoever's in charge of the khutbah, right? So you got to have their number in case something happens, or you just need to communicate something beforehand. What else?
Iqama time.
The exact iqamah time. So how long is your khutbah going to be?
What is the setup?
What's the setup?
Yeah.
Right? Is the second khutbah in the musalla, or is it over there? Like, where's your minbar, right?
Is it a minbar or a podium?
Yeah, is it a minbar, podium? Like, or if you have something printed, do you have somewhere to put it? Or you're gonna have to hold it the whole time and the paper keeps falling over. So these are things. What else?
Is there a sign mu'adhin? Assigned mu'adhin.
Assigned mu'adhin, right? And how long is that? Is it 30 seconds or 5 minutes? Great. What else?
The time, the start and the stop.
Start and stop, okay? Like, do they, so one thing to remember is, okay, they give you a time, right? The muadhin part and start time matters a lot. Because the muadhin is going to take 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes of your khutbah that you can't give, right? So, and then the second question is, when do they pray and when do you have to be done by? So if they say, okay, 2:30, 2:45, you have to pray, or you have to get everybody out by 2:50, right? So you can always, you're not going to be exactly on the dot, right? So say you have to end by 2:45, but you have a way to end the khutbah. Like you need 30 seconds to a minute to end. Still, you can extend the prayer or shorten the prayer depending on when you want to get out, because you don't want to just be in the middle of the ayah that you're reciting in the khutbah and do the aqimus salat, right? Like no. So you want to have a conclusion so people know that you have to be finished, right? What else? What else do you need to know?
Parking situation.
Parking situation, very important. Like, is there a spot for you that you can just roll up in, or you have to find your own spot, right?
Along that line is if you're giving the second khutbah, you have to time when you arrive very carefully.
Yes.
Because there's one group that's coming out and one group that's coming in.
Exactly. One group that's coming out, one group that's leaving. So, which entrance are you going to use? Like when I got here, I came from there. I just walked. Because I forgot I have to enter from here. Like last time I was here was for Sheikh Osman's wedding, I think. So that was like a couple years ago. So they had those doors open at that time. So I walked. I was like, should I enter through here or there? So keep that in mind. Like if everybody's leaving through here, you might want to park on that side and come in from here if it's faster. So it's a good point. What else?
Does the maybe the masjid follows a particular format for the
format? Good. All right. Some masajid. I don't think over here, but some masajid they require you to do like an English khutbah before, and then the entire 2 parts of the khutbah need to be in Arabic. So, what do they mean when they tell you, "Oh, come give khutbah at this time"? You just want to come and do the Arabic part, or you want to come a little earlier and do your English speech? Okay. What else?
What's the mic setup? Do you need to put
yeah,
one
what's
mic
the
for
mic
masjid,
setup? The podium.
one mic for the
Ask
camera,
about the setup. Yeah.
one
Good.
mic for the camera usually.
Good. What else? Anything else? So okay, that's the logistics part, right? Always being here early. Like today, I was planning on being here at 9:55. I got here at 10:15 exactly. So I'm coming from Sugarlands. Yes.
One important thing, and I think Sheikh Mamdouh, you can comment on this. Some masajid, they say that the congregation actually gets sensitive if the Khateeb doesn't wear the kufi.
Okay, so your attire, right? Most of the time, the easiest answer to what I should wear is something traditional. That's just wear something traditional, but don't wear like traditional party clothes, right? Like tight kurta and flashy, shiny stuff. Just your standard traditional bland stuff. You're not going to get criticized for certain stuff. Put on the kufi, right? If you don't want to take the heat for that.
Never.
Some people, they want to wear like the most brazen thing and make the point, right? That, oh, it's okay to wear, like you don't want to find yourself in that situation because you aren't going to find yourself in that situation again. They're not going to call you back to get put So just, it's the oath, right? Like whatever the custom of the people is, whatever the customs are, just try to blend in because when you try to make a statement, you might appeal to one crowd, but you're going to alienate another crowd, right? They're going to just shut off. They're not even going to listen to you because of the way you look, right? You can do that, right? You can wear whatever it is that you want, but if you're going to make a point, put your effort in what you're going to say to make that point. If there's something that the community does that needs changing, right, then you want to put all your effort into the way you deliver it so more people are able to process it, right? Okay, so I think that's good enough for the logistics part. Yes.
If the Sunnah told us for Jummah,
Yes.
to come here on the etiquette of the Sunnah, Prophet said if you have to make one for you Jummah, come.
Yes.
Jummah is special. It's not like you coming for Isha or
Exactly.
You have to be adhere to the etiquette of the Jummah.
Yes.
Even if you are imam or you are come as
Exactly. So the etiquette of the Jummah, follow the Sunnah as much as possible, right? So I mean, you have the Sunnahs of the Jummah, doing the ghusl and all that. All that's great, but also the way you appear, right? Like you want to wear, even if it's bland and whatever, but it needs to be clean, tidy, and presentable, right? Something that's deserving of the minbar, right? So keep that in mind. So I think we'll say that that's good enough for logistics. That pretty much marks off my entire checklist, right? And then what's the next part? The actual khutbah, right? So when you prepare for the khutbah, how do you go about preparing for that khutbah, right? Like what thought have you put into it?
Well, first you need to look for the topic. What the topic
Yes, so number one is topic. How do you decide on what the topic is?
Current affairs.
Say just one thing about that.
Yeah.
So we try to have a theme of the month,
Mm-hmm.
and we let the Khateeb know that this is the theme of the month.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory that they have to stick to it, but
Mhm.
it serves as a guideline, just
Okay.
in case you're searching for a topic.
So
Thank you.
so why don't you give me a theme that you picked out for
So
me?
this month the theme is role models.
Role models, okay.
And
So
yesterday, mashallah, we had all three khutbah were role models.
Role models.
From Sheikh Mamdouh, Dr. Hamid Mursi, and Brother Musa.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Very good. So if you have to give a khutbah on role models, right? That's the general theme. How do you decide what topic you're giving? Because role model is very vague. Like,
Very good.
so what do you do?
With the khutbah.
What goes through your mind?
Who to pick your role model to talk about?
Okay.
Or the Prophet.
So one way you can go about it is picking a specific role model. What else?
Understanding what time, like it's Rabi' al-Awwal and half of the Ummah celebrates the Mawlid, for example, so I'm most likely going to talk about the Prophet
The
ﷺ.
Prophet ﷺ. So something specific about the Prophet ﷺ, because he was obviously a role model, and there's so many aspects of his life, right? So you can pick a certain aspect of him being a role model. So something, it doesn't have to be a certain person, right? Like you can extract things that apply to the role model. Like a role model is someone that needs to be emulated, right? Like they have like the character, let's say, right? So you can take examples from different people even, and still pick a different topic, except you don't have to stick to one person.
And so, if I may
Yeah.
say what happened yesterday. So Sheikh Mamdouh, he talked about types of role models.
Types of role models, good.
Right? But Abdul Hamid Mursi, he talked about what are the characteristics
Characteristics of
of
role model.
of role models, and Musa talked about Abu Bakr, right?
Good.
Yeah, so we had a variety of
Yeah.
things.
Because every topic is varied, right? So one thing that falls from both from the logistical part into the content part that you have to remember that we didn't discuss too much is the type of audience you're addressing, right? That's very important because if it's like a youth type flipbook, right? Like your audience is going to be different. They're not going to relate to certain examples, certain analogies. Sometimes things just go over their heads that you might think it might be applicable. So the main thing you have to decide, like, who is the audience that you're talking to, right? Number two is this a one-time flipbook that I'm doing, or this is going to be a repeated thing that I'm going to engage in? That matters a lot, because if it is a community that you haven't gone to before and you've just been asked to do the flipbook for the first time, it might be a one-off. You can pull out one of your superstar flipbooks, do it, give them what they need, give them a good impression. They might benefit from it more than your usual flipbooks, right? And you're done, right? Whereas it's a different role if you're addressing the community month after month, week after week, because you have the opportunity to build something over time, right? So all that needs to be considered, right? So once so let's move on to the next part. Once you've picked a topic, you've decided that the main question that should be going through your head is, how is this, whatever it is that I'm speaking about, is going to benefit my target audience the most, right? So it's not about what you find interesting the most or what you feel is going to help you the most. It's about what's going to benefit them the most. Because that can be two different things. Like, you can be really into the details of qira'at and whatnot, but that's not going to benefit you can discuss that all you want, but that's generally, for the vast majority of people, it's not going to give them an iman rush in a way that will change their life, forever, right? It's just, this is basically taking your data set, your information, processing it, and making it deliverable, right? And then your presentation style, how are you going to present that material, right? How are you going to present it? Are you going to be like more of you're going to take the presentation style where you use stories to get your point across, you use analogies to get your point across, or are you going to make it more educational, like point 1, point 1A, point 1B, point 2, like that? Like, both work. I mean, it's not like one's better than the other. It just depends on who your audience is. Like, if it's mostly like working professionals and stuff like that, sometimes if there is something that you want to convey to them in an informational type format, so they actually know it, all this is what they need to know, then that might be better. But if it's someone, the community's kind of more non-practicing and stuff, sometimes the stories help to keep them engaged, make it more interactive, make them actually think. Sometimes you can use a more like inquisitive type presentation where you ask a lot of questions, right? That makes them think more. You don't give them the answer necessarily, but you're leading them towards an answer. So these are all different presentation styles that you can.
But the dance,
yes.
Always sometimes expect you have 200, 300 people in front of you.
Yeah.
Now, who you target the most? Just.
So this is something that comes with practice, right? Over time, you get an idea. But if it's a one-time flipbook that you're doing, it doesn't matter that much, because you're going to pick one of your superstar flipbooks, right? That you've done before, that everybody liked, you've never received bad feedback about it or anything. You're just going to do it and go. But sometimes it takes time to get an idea of who your audience is, right? Like, even if it's 300 people, you have a general idea that this khutbah is going to be on average between 35 and 60, let's say, age group, right? Or they're mostly males, barely any females come to this khutbah. Or they're mostly, if it's one of the second or third khutbahs, they're mostly like after school students that are there. So you'll get an idea. Even then you can have 100, 200 people, just like, you just have to get a general idea. You don't have to be like, okay, I see 51% more of this group, let me just target that. It's and you can always make a khutbah that appeals to everyone, but it heavily focuses on one than the other. So I'm not going to go into sample topics and examples of that. We already talked about timing, her attitude, right? Like you have to be extremely professional. Sometimes, or a lot of people, they might take it the wrong way when you tell them that, when you berate them, right? Oh, you're not good enough, or you like when someone's walking into the masjid, you're like, oh, you're always late to the flutter. That's not going to help you. That person's not going to like you, and the other people, the rest of the audience is going to be like, why is he picking on this guy? Right? And then you'll have someone's like, yeah, I was on time. Thank God it wasn't me. Right? And then I talked about content and construction. Right? Your easiest answer to this, if you're on the beginning levels of preparing khutbah, pick those 2, 3, 4 scholars or imams that you feel are reliable and have good khutbahs, and try to get the content from those khutbahs and develop that into your own style. This is the easiest way, because that takes the headache of figuring out if this is something that's authentic or valid to say, right? You don't have to do the research yourself. You have most of the material, right? And then, the only part left is you delivering it in your own style. And then practice, 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 right? Once you've gotten the content done, then all that's left is for you to practice your khutbah. You should practice your khutbah maybe 5 to 10 times at least before you do it for the first time. Once you've done that, you have one khutbah done forever, essentially. You can recycle it. Every time you do it, it's going to be better and better. Okay? And the last last 2 parts of this is attention, right? Always figure out like what parts of your khutbah, you'll feel it. When you're practicing, you feel like, okay, I think the tempo of the khutbah is kind of drying out at this point, or it's kind of slowing down. So that's the point you want to introduce something that's like one of those inquisitive questions or a story or something that'll just get their attention. So attention grabbers. And then the last part is feedback. So anytime you do a khutbah, it doesn't really help you if someone comes and tells you, it just helps your ego really. If someone comes and tells you, great khutbah, good job guys, what's that going to help you, right? You know you put in the effort, you're hoping for it to be good, right? It just gives you some encouragement, it helps your ego. What matters more, what's really the goal of this, is when someone gives you constructive feedback, right? Constructive criticism on how to fix your khutbah. Well, what can you do better? What can you change? So for this, what we do at the khutbah committee is basically, it's called the feedback form. It's ish.org/feedback. I review that every week, essentially. I don't get a lot from Masjid Salam, which might be a good thing, might not be a good thing, because we get positive feedback as well. But we don't get, I don't think I've gotten negative feedback in a few months from here, so that's always a good thing. But the hopes are we get more and more feedback, and that's the only way we can improve. If we stop getting feedback, that's not a good sign that people don't care, or they're just satisfied. They're just like, yeah, it's okay. It's just like normal. So we look for good feedback to tell us that, okay, we're going in the right direction. But when we don't get anything, then we start thinking that, hey, maybe we need to change it up a little bit, up the game a little bit, basically, right? So we need to focus on changing some things. So I'll call the AD and be like, is everything going good? It's something that we need to know. So that's a summary of those 2 main things. I think I've covered, yep. I've covered everything that I need. Any questions before?
The feedback that you mentioned about, is there a special channel that you get it from, or who provides it?
ISGH.org/feedback.
So are people
When you
aware?
go to that website?
I was never aware though. Like, how do you know that the audience is aware that this is?
So
it's something we're going to have to publicize some more.
So every AD, when they start in January, I send them a message saying that, hey, make sure this is propagated after the khutbah, ISGH.org/feedback. This is the only way I accept feedback, really. If you can call me and give me a 30-minute talk about how bad the khutbah was, I'm going to tell you fill it out.
Yeah.
Because if it's not written, it doesn't matter to me.
Maybe we need to add that to our weekly announcements.
Or put a sign next to the podium or something.
Because what happens is every year I collect everything, and then I send a report to ISG. We have to do our annual reports. We say we received these many feedback forms. These many were positive, meaning like you got like actual compliment, because everything's positive if it's not negative technically. But I only count it as positive if it's like a compliment or like great job or something like that. So I write down how many are positive and then how many you got negative feedback or some type of issue with the football. And that's pretty much how we process it.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Was that
I appreciate you coming all the way over here. Very informative. Any way they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, khutbah@isg.org if you need anything. If you send me their emails, I'll send the document. You have the, all these are notes essentially.
Okay.
Done for other trainings.
Okay, so it's in that WhatsApp group. Oh, you want email address?
Yeah. Email,
okay,
yeah.
so if I can get you guys to, if everyone can put their email address in the group chat, along with your name. Some of us have very fancy, obscure email addresses, like Muhammad over here, S214 something. All right, very good. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. So now, inshallah, we'll transition to Sheikh Mandur to talk about the fiqh. You need a small table, big table. Yes, please. Or you want to break?
You want to break, or we just start right away?
We can start.
I promise I'll be very interested.
We're always ready for you, sir.
Those who are hand scheduled. And you received by now, everybody received by now two documents. One is about the contemporary issues relating to Friday, Jum'ah, and the second one is Fiqh Sunnah portion of Jum'ah. Right? I'm not going to go over either one. This is for your information. Right? This is on one each. Just like that.
Yeah, we're
Inshallah, today I'm going to be with you for the rest of the workshop. It's going to be two parts. One part is about the religious 50 aspects of it, which is now, and then we also be reciting this. Better?
yeah.
So this the first part is going to be about the fiqh issue, and then the second part will be about delivery. I'll keep delivery for that portion. It becomes very interesting. We'll do some exercises together. It's not to put you in the spot or anything like that, but it's actually very nice. You'll love it, you'll like it, and I promise you, after today, inshallah, you will have something new in your fiqh. But the fiqh issue, as Brother Rizal mentioned, the idea here is not to bombard you with lots of information. Information, I sent it to you. And please don't ignore it. Read it and take it carefully. Because those papers are done by someone who took time, and Dr. Jamal Zarabuzo is well known, okay, a scholar. And this was presented to the AMJA conference back in, I think, 2009, 2010. There was a conference about the contemporary issues relating to youth in the United States, relating to youth in the finances and aqidah and social and this and that. And part of it was the salah. Youth go to college, go to school, what do they do in Jumu'ah? That is when the contemporary issues relating to Jumu'ah came up. Also, there was another conference about the Islamic centers and their challenges as well. So this paper about contemporary issue of Jumu'ah, the timing of Jumu'ah. Does it come before Zuhr, after Zuhr? What if it happens after Asr? What if it happens in the Duha? We're going to talk about this now, inshallah. The number of the people. the layout of the masjid, the using of PowerPoint and stuff like that that they do. So these are the things, contemporary issues, right? So you need to be aware of them. Even if you are not doing one of them or you do not see one of them, I want you to be aware. And that's one of the things that you need to know, the fiqh of the Jummah. It's not today. In this 30 minutes I'm going to be speaking to you, you are not going to learn the fiqh of Jummah. Trust me. Okay? So fiqh of Jummah needs you to study it, and I recommend that you study it with a scholar or with someone. So from here, inshallah, we can do our own local fiqh of Jum'ah training. It is not only in 30 minutes. We can give you a PowerPoint. We can sit together formally or informally and go over it step by step, and then you get a certificate that you studied a course of fiqh of Jum'ah. You know, my goal is I want every Khateeb who are at the Masjid al-Salam and all over the world, yeah, but Masjid al-Salam, that they know the fiqh of what they do. It's not like I don't want to be Khateeb, then someone come and say, you did not say Assalamu alaikum to people. I saw that before. Khateeb would come to a masjid and he says, such and such happened, da 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 da. This okay in a regular speech, in the delivery, you know. Regular speech to come and shock people, something interesting, is wow, right back, you know. But in the khutbah, you have to say Assalamu alaikum, you have to sit down, the adhan is gone, and then you have to praise Allah. There is etiquette for the Jum'ah. But knowing fiqh of Jum'ah is important because of that. The book of Fiqh al-Sunnah is a very famous book done by the Egyptian Sheikh, you know, last century, Sayyid Sadat. Sayyid Sadat, contemporary scholar, but he kind of gathered all the forms there, and that is one part that if you are a Hanafi or a Maliki or a Shafi'i, I know what I'm going to say now, it may be offensive, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to use even like the youth, who cares? Like who you are Hanafi or Shafi'i, or I came to listen to a khutbah, give me a good khutbah, you know. You understand me? So I want you to accommodate like that. But basically, even if you are following a certain madhab, try to accommodate when there is no issues, no differences. Right? Follow your madhab, as long as it is accommodating others. Right? But if you find yourself in the point that it contradicts your madhab and you are a strict Hanafi, for example, or a strict Shafi'i, then there are going to be some times that you cannot give that khutbah. Right? But don't try to force it on others. Because I see some people, they try to change the masjid for their own thing. Oh, khutbah cannot happen before the Zuhr time enters. Well, okay. But that's not everybody agree with that. Yeah? Because we do khutbah 10 a.m. According to fiqh, we can do khutbah 10 a.m. يعني according to the Hanabila, وزود the Shafi'iyya, khutbah time starts from the Eid time. And when you pray Eid, 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 8 a.m., you can do khutbah Jummah. And there is a hadith and all of that. Yeah, it's strange for you, that's fine. But if you find some masjid, give the khutbah at 12 o'clock, go do the khutbah at 12 o'clock. If you believe that your madhab will prevent you from that, don't do it. It's as simple as that. But they are not wrong. You get it? They are not wrong. Okay. What if the khutbah time happens after the entrance of Asr time? Right? That also happens in the winter. In the winter, when the third khutbah here comes with the Asr time, somebody will make a big deal out of it and jump up and down, right? That's fine. But there is a madhab of Malikiyya that says the khutbah can be done in the Asr time because this is the time you can do Jama' of Zuhr and Asr all the way until Maghrib time. As long as you did not pray Asr. يعني nobody should pray Asr, then come attend the Jum'ah. Can you understand me? So you are going in order. You did not pray Jum'ah and you did not pray Asr. Even Asr time came and the Jum'ah is happening, you can attend that as well. You'll find that in the contemporary issues.
In Hanafi Asr is...
Hanafi Asr is later. So that's good too. But that's the idea. Right. You as a lay person cannot pick and choose like that. But scholars can custom make some opinion like this for you. تلفيق يعني. They can make like that. So that's what the scholars in Amja, for example, they did. Why? To accommodate students in college. They have classes, they have things like that. So 5, 6 of them can do Jum'ah at this time, early before Zuhr time. Some can do Jum'ah at regular time. Some can do Jum'ah even after Asr. فهمتم يعني why? So you as a Khatib need to be aware of things. Even you're not practicing that, or you're not in a situation to do that, but someone will come and ask you maybe. Now, if we go to this was done by my dear friend Dr. Brahim Draman, and he did this when he was teaching in American University long time ago. Now, we're not going to spend too much time in learning about the Virtual Friday. Allah created Adam and Eve. Allah Yom al-Qiyamah will be in Jum'ah, and the Jum'ah is the best day of the week. The people before us were offered Jum'ah. Some of them chose Saturday, some of them chose Sunday to be the holiday of the, not holiday, but holy day, to be the sacred day of gathering as a Jama'ah, as a community. So 1 day a week to gather for worship is a human religious tradition. It is not like Muslims own it. So I want you to understand that the Christians being on Sunday and the Jews being Saturday, that was their choice, even though they were offered Jum'ah. And Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam told them, Allah offered you Jum'ah, and they said, no, we take Saturday. Isa alayhi salam we take Sunday. But the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, we accepted the Jum'ah. That's why he said, we are al-akhirun al-awwalun. We came the last chronologically, but we are the precedent ahead because Jum'ah comes first in the order. And we get the blessing of Yom al-Jum'ah, and I want you to read about the virtues of Jum'ah because this can even be a khutbah. And I actually suggest that to every one of you. So sitting here today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Inshallah Muhammad will add him. 15. Let's say 15 of us at one point plan that from now until next year that you pick one Jumu'ah according to the theme of the month or the need, and you are going to do the etiquette of Jumu'ah. And that actually, in my opinion, should be done in every masjid at least once a year. Not each one once a year, at least it is done in the Jumu'ah. So we can coordinate among us who's going to give the etiquette of Jumu'ah in the first khutbah, second khutbah, third khutbah. They don't have to be the same week, but we can, this week would be etiquette of Jumu'ah, first Jumu'ah, next week would be second Jumu'ah, 14 weeks. So there is a month there that etiquette of the Jumu'ah. So the Khateeb address for people what are the requirements, what are the necessities, what are the sunan, what are the mustahab for the people. That needs to be khutbah, training for you also, so you can remember. The best way, one of the best ways to retain knowledge is to teach it. Not only read it, but teach it. Anything you read, make it a topic. And I want you to have, inshallah we'll talk about it in delivery, have your own Microsoft document or something like that of topics that come off your head, you write it down. Over time, then you pick what is relevant. So it's called brain dump, they call it sometimes. You just put, and then you rearrange your topic. Okay. Yom al-Jum'ah has different merits and different things. There is a dua on Yom al-Jum'ah, salah on the Prophet Yom al-Jum'ah, the second is the country. Now one main aspect of it, you are in the khutbah training, Khateeb training. So we're going to talk about fiqh al-Jum'ah from the Khateeb aspect, Khateeb perspective. There is fiqh al-Jum'ah for a regular Muslim. It applies to you too. Doing the ghusl, doing this, and coming, but the Khateeb, for example, comes late. Everybody else is advised to come early. I'm not saying later on the time. It comes right on the khutbah. The Khateeb's entrance is supposed to be where? To the khutbah. That's why I was telling people, But the Khatib, يعني شاف the Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم said do not cross over people's shoulders and necks, right? But the Khatib will do that. How do you answer this?
Exception.
Yes, that's one way to answer it. But the accommodation all the time that the Khatib does not cross. Khatib's door is beside the Qibla. You know, normally the Khatib has an entrance from outside the masjid, and has a room outside here that he comes straight to the Qibla. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ used to do. When you visit the masjid of the Prophet, what do you see? Right? He does not come from the back. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, right? The front part is a new extension to Masjid al-Nabawi, right? And the back part is a new extension to Masjid al-Nabawi. But the house of the Prophet was here and the mihrab was right there. Right? So he would cross in front of people, not cross from behind the people. But now, this is exception because of the necessity, right? So, I want you to know these things too, right? Because it hurts me when I'm coming to keep crossing the people like this. That's why I kind of like tap their back, I said, so make them feel good about it because you do not know. Not everybody will be happy that you are crossing over. So this is one of the, and take the shortest route. If you enter Masjid Salam, don't enter from the back door to the football. Enter from this front door here, and if you can go through that, like cross only 1, 2, 3 people or 4 people, and then come straight here. That would be the best way to do it. But sometimes you find people praying. So it's very hard to maneuver, And that's why I tell you etiquette of Salah. Write those things, write your observations. I tell people do not pray the Sunnah or right on the door, It's not blocking everybody. So those are, we are talking from the Khatib perspective. You do, now.
How discouraged is it for the Khatib to come in? How discouraged is it for the Khatib to come before and to sit in the front?
That's okay. But it's not the Sunnah. Sunnah في الخطيب إنه يأتي يعني على طول الناس يرونه للهيبة for respect, for the nobility, that the Khatib does not just pop up from among people, but he's someone coming to advise. And that's why he comes and he turns around, يستقبل الناس ويقول السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. That in itself has some so taking the ghusl, you should put the ghusl as a regular musalli, but for Khatib it's even better. And this comes with freshness. Trust me, I've been for 30 years. The Jum'ah that you take the shower and come straight to the masjid, the quality is completely different from the time you do not take the shower or the shower is early.
100%.
You take the shower, especially you use some cold water. Yeah, you're fresh, you put on your nice towel, you put on it and everything. SubhanAllah, you are motivated. You practice that sunnah with them. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned that the one who does the ghusl and comes straight to the masjid, so the way it is described, there is no time. He's taking the shower before he leaves the house. Take the shower, dress nicely, smell nice. It's about the attitude. It's not like, I'm going to Jum'ah, like that. I'm going to Jum'ah. I'm going to deliver a speech. That's very important as well. Now,
you have to drive 45 minutes.
شغل قرآن and read Quran, practice الخطبة وانت ماشي, you practice الخطبة. Say, إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه. اتقوا الله. Yeah. Going early for Salat al-Jum'ah does not apply to you, as I said. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said the angels will be standing on the doors of the masjid, those who come early in the first hour. First hour, it is kind of like more a relative thing. It's not first hour and 60 minutes. They divided the hours from the Duha time until the Jum'ah. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said first hour is like a camel, second hour is like a cow, third hour is like a goat, fourth hour is like a chicken, fifth hour is like what? An egg, and then khalas. So from the duha time, see what is the time of ishraq? Let's say
7:30.
7:30. And what is the time of the zuhur?
1:30.
Divide by 5. Then you will know what is the first hour, the second hour, the third hour. When you're going to get the egg, when you get the chicken, you know? All of that. This is the way to do it. Well, that's what they mean by 5 hours. But this does not apply to the Khateeb. Khateeb's reward is full reward, even though he comes straight to the khutbah. Because being the Khateeb, being in the place of Rasulullah is greatly rewarded. So I should understand that.
Please, before we go, but this is the money person I came in, but this is my practical thing. For the imam, he doesn't have to pray Sunnah al-Masjid when he comes in. See, but that's brother said. So two Sunnah al-Masjid you have to pray. Actually, you know, the imam, there is something etiquette. It's not applied to. If you are here and come here, even just I told them, if you come here for the Jama'at is on, going on the Jama'at, when you come into the door, you pray 2 rak'ahs and then you join the Jama'at. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. هو في يعني I understand, but as I said for the Khateeb, you are exempted from many things. You just come straight to deliver the khutbah. There is no 2 rak'ah prayer. There is no sitting in the masjid for you. You do not have to come early. Come straight for the Jummah. That's it. Now, for a person who comes to pray or not to pray, that's a bigger issue. You know? When they come, it's better for them to pray as long as the Imam is giving khutbah. Pray to rak'ah and then sit down. If they sit down, that's fine. You know, they don't stand up again. At the end of the day, it's tahiyat al-masjid is not a fard. Right? At the end of the day. Now, for the Jama'ah, is another issue. The Jama'ah, when they pray Fajr, for example, the 2 rak'ah sunnah mu'akkada, according to all 3 imams, Ahmed, Shafi'i, and Malik, يعني Shafi'i وأحمد بالترتيب كده. إذا قيمت الصلاة فلا صلاة إلا المكتوب. يعني when the salah is there, you just come in and pray salah maktub. The Ahnaf, they have some issue different. They said if the imam, you know, the imam gives time in the first rak'ah enough for you to pray in 2, then pray in 2, because they are sunnah mu'akkada emphasizing all of that. We respect that opinion, even though we don't follow that opinion, but there is an opinion, right? So we understand why people come for Fajr and they, you know, pray the 2 rak'ah. We understand why. You're not doing it, but you understand why, right? But it's not,
they could pick a room away from the Jama'at and they...
Right there, on the side. You're not in the middle of the Salah, of course. خلينا نخلص. Let me finish. If you have questions, then you can ask them after I finish. Right? Write them down.
Write it on your phone.
Yeah. So do not cross the people as I mentioned, but as a Khateeb, you should aware of that. But as I said, it is very important to read those things and make them a khutbah, the etiquette of it. Because you will see people, when you are giving khutbah, you will see people crossing. You will see people doing that. If you remind the people, inshallah, will be Nawafil before Salat al-Jum'ah. So, again, for the Khateeb, this does not apply to you. This does not apply to you. But you pray to rak'ah. What about after Jum'ah? Do you pray? That applies to you as Khateeb and not Khateeb. After Salat al-Jum'ah, is there any sunnah to pray? Yeah. If you pray at the masjid, you pray 2 rak'ah. You go pray at home, you pray 4 rak'ah. 2 and 2. Okay? Those are the sunnah of the Prophet. After Salat al-Jum'ah, pray 2 rak'ah. Okay. Even you are Khateeb, right? Khateeb, your job finished now. Now after Jum'ah, we are all equal. Yani before the Jum'ah, during the khutbah, you are different because you are the Khateeb, right? But after you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
That's it, your job is done.
Now your job is done, you are every Muslim sitting there. I hope you understand that portion. Sometimes, for me, for example, it's very, very hard for me to pray the 2 rak'ah in the masjid. Why? Because everybody will ask me a question, people will do this, people will do that. And also, if I pray, it's like I'm ignoring a larger segment of the community that I need to tend to them. Only they come on Friday, they want to see me at the office. That's why it takes me about an hour after Jum'ah to be free. And sometimes the person giving the third khutbah while I'm still handling some of the first khutbah, what they call the
inquiries.
Method sequence of that. However, طبعا don't be sleepy. Can you be sleepy when you're doing khutbah? Yes. If you are tired, apologize. Have some backup, something like that. You need to sleep well before.
Stuff in Ramadan during the summer.
Yes, especially those who are working. Like some of you have work schedule, and then come for Friday. Make sure you're finished. Take coffee. MashaAllah, some says, a coffee with 6 shots.
You'll be flying there with them.
Now I do it every Friday now. It's actually, it makes you like something else. I don't want to talk about it here, but they put 911. Yeah. So I'm just suggesting, I'm not saying that this works for everybody, but just make sure you are fresh. Make sure you are at work. Even if you stretch or do something, then take a shower and then come to the masjid. Or come to the masjid and walk a little bit. But just come fresh to the Jum'ah and be ready for it. In the delivery, I'll give you some tips, inshallah, that will keep you alert. Keep you alert to what you're doing there. Now, Salat al-Jum'ah, of course, is an obligation. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا. Go to the dhikr of Allah. And Allah said فاسعوا. فاسعوا يعني make the effort to go to the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, leave all the business and all that things. Then when the salah finishes, then go back to work. No problem. SubhanAllah. In Muslim countries, Friday is a day off. When I was young, some of our sheikhs said, I wonder when this day, Friday, became a day off. Actually, there was no day off on Friday. Over 14 mentioned. Friday was never a day off for anyone. Eid was never a day off. We make these things off. But each day off, your day off is when you're tired, you rest. But the concept of having a day off is something new. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla said, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. You were working before and you are working after. So actually in America we practice the sunnah better. صحيح. Why take off? You take off because you're tired. You take off because you're exhausted. That's fine. But you work. Working. What I'm saying by working is not having a job. That's not my point. I'm not saying that you have a job 7 days a week. Muslims are always working. In your backyard, it is working. Taking your family out is working. But this idea of being passively not doing anything, this is not Islamic. My day off is like I sleep more, live a while. You're not going to wake up for Fajr on Saturday? Huh? Actually, that's what people do in the Middle East. Friday, Fajr. They don't pray Fajr. They pray Fajr because they go to work all day, all week. But on Friday, they don't pray Fajr. I'm going to go for Jum'ah to the masjid. I'll go twice? And it's too much. And I'm telling you, you're amazed, but that is what happens. يوم الجمعة Fajr, suppose the masjid is supposed to be full than any other day. So Fajr, يوم الجمعة الفجر هذا في بركة كبيرة.
They stay awake till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Because tomorrow's off, they stay in front of the TV all the time. They don't pray Fajr, and then they wake up 1 hour before Jum'ah, and the whole thing is messed up. This is not the idea, right? طيب. Salat al-Jum'ah is not obligatory on women or children. Children not reach puberty. That's what we mean. Once a person reaches puberty, they're an adult. It doesn't matter. they are 9 or 11 or 12 or 15. They are not once you reach puberty as a male. Female, reach puberty when the period, the monthly menstrual period starts coming. Whether she's 7 or 8 or 9 or 8, she's not. Those are the rules apply, you know. We're not talking about marriage and stuff, we're just talking about rules. You are mukallaf now. بلوغ يعني مكلف. The person is adult, I mean, reach puberty. Male, females, not only for Jum'ah they are exempted, for actually Jama'ah. يعني all public social عبادات the women are exempted from, they are not obligatory on them. In Eid there is debate, is it wajib on the women or not, so there is a debate. But in general, most of the صلوات الجماعة والاستسقاء والكسوف والجنازة women are exempted. It's not on you, it's not upon you to do that for a woman, right? خطبة, women don't give خطبة except if you are so the men, adult, male, adult, free, we don't have slaves now. But believe it or not, there is slavery can go on. It's not announced, but there are some countries that they have people who own slaves and the whole thing is practiced. And I don't think it is going to be completely abolished until we go to Yemen. In my opinion, I don't know. They hide it, but it's not announced. And until recently, like 2 decades recently, in Mauritania there was ownership of slaves. Even in some of the Islamic courts, some people have kafara to free a slave. They will write down, and the person will deposit the money, and they will free a slave, will give the name and everything. That person became free. So there is slavery. So, I'm not telling you it is irrelevant, I'm telling you it is not relevant now, but it is not irrelevant. Right? It's not relevant.
It's in the book of Allah, it's going to state that.
أنا عارف موجود بس هو if we agree not to have slavery, there is nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying I'm pro-slavery. I'm not. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's there. So that's one of the conditions. If there is a slave on the face of this earth, Jum'ah is not obligated on him. You get the idea? Doesn't apply or not, but I just want people to know, to realize this. So if there are slaves, if there are 1 million slaves on earth, if there is only 1 slave on earth, Jum'ah is not fard on that person. Can they pray Jum'ah though? Yes. Now what difference does it make? What difference does it make for a woman, or a slave, or a sick person, or a traveler to pray Jum'ah? Other than they get rewarded. There is a fiqh difference. If you say it, I'll give you $10. Huh?
Their presence won't validate a khutbah.
I'll get you coffee. Thank you. Exactly. So if Jum'ah is not obligated on you, you do not validate like the number of the people there. So if we say that Jum'ah has to have 3 people or 2 people, if there is a man and a woman, Jum'ah is not valid. If you say Jum'ah can be done with 2 people, right? Let's say the minimum among the scholars is 2 people. One gives the khutbah, one listens, right? So if the one gives the khutbah is a man and the woman is listening, that's not Jum'ah. What if it's a sick person? Same thing. What if it's a traveler? Same thing. You get the point, no? It's very important to know those conditions, right? To know those conditions. So we do not let someone who is sick, مثلا, give the khutbah while all healthy people are there, or a child and so on. And there is a difference about the child, but we're talking about who is obligated to do the khutbah, to do the Jum'ah. I'll come to the khutbah in a minute, right? Right. Time of Salat al-Jum'ah is a time of Dhuhr. Now there is a difference. The khutbah can be also after the Dhuhr or not. That is a difference. I'm not going to go through every madhab. But if khutbah is done before the Dhuhr time, and the prayer happens in the Zuhr time, according to those who think that the khutbah time, Jum'ah is the time of Zuhr. So do we start the khutbah after the time of Zuhr enters? As long as the prayer after Zuhr is fine. Alright? Some, by the way, some Sahaba and some Tabi'een, that the 2 rak'ah of Zuhr that taken away from Jum'ah, the khutbah replaces them. So you need to attend that khutbah, or at least part of it. So according to them, if you do not attend part of the khutbah, you pray Zuhr on this week, right? As long as you catch the prayer, you're fine. There is no answer. Okay? I'm just telling you, that opinion has some foundation from the old time, that the Jum'ah, the khutbah is replacing the 2 rak'ah of the Zuhr. Right? It is wrong practice for some people that they say we pray 2 rak'ah after Jum'ah to make up for the 2 rak'ah of Zuhr. Or we're going to pray the 4 rak'ah of Zuhr because Jum'ah is something and Zuhr is something else. He's innovating in the religion. Some people actually ask me that question. So if we pray 4 rak'ah at home, Zuhr. So, but you pray Jum'ah. I said, yeah, but Zuhr stays. Jum'ah is extra. Where did you get this from? No? Or I pray 2 rak'ah after Jum'ah to make up for the 2 rak'ah of Zuhr. Because I did not attend the khutbah. Another issue. As a Khateeb, as I said, you can do Jum'ah before. Like I was in Austin last Friday, not yesterday, but Friday before that. And one of the masajid will have the first Jum'ah at 12:15. Around that before the entrance of the cemetery. And it finishes also, and the Salah finishes before the entrance of the cemetery. The second Jum'ah that they have it 1:30. Right? And then they have the third Jum'ah, like I think 3 o'clock. A huge masjid. And it's full in every Jum'ah. So, and Dr. Salah Saud is the one who did the first khutbah. And here is here's for you, like the endorsement. Okay? And I went to prison 16 years ago to give khutbah, and it was done like before the Jum'ah and sometimes after the Asr. And we did that because you have to accommodate. You have to be aware of these things. So if the masjid plans the khutbah, don't say the masjid is wrong. If you feel comfortable doing it, go ahead and do it. Alhamdulillah, even if it's against your mazhab, no problem. If you don't want to do it and don't feel comfortable, that's fine. Okay? So as a Khateeb, keep that in mind, because khutbah schedule in IGH is all standard, but some have differences. Like our khutbah sometimes comes late, the third one, and other masjids, the khutbah goes early, and some masjids, the khutbah in the middle, so you have to understand the situation. Don't feel uncomfortable, and if somebody asks you, is it sahih, inshallah, it's all right. Okay?
So, can there be a delay between the end of the khutbah and the start of the salah?
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
But the answer, no, without necessity. That actually some of the scholars make this as a shart. Shart means condition of validity is not to separate between Jum'ah, between the khutbah and the salah without reason, and that should not be longer. Should not be longer. So right after the salah, people put the minbar, prepare the thing, you drink some water, that's all right. But to do a fundraising, that's not all right. I'm just saying, because some masjids requested that from me at a certain point. I go to another state, they said, Sheikh, we need a 15-minute fundraising between salah and the assembly. But this is the only time people say that, even if I'm going to give you $1 million, no, I'm not going to do it. And just to hold people hostage, to get them money and violate the sunnah, not wrong. Right? That's sometimes people innovate things. I have people sitting, they cannot go anywhere because they did not do salah, and they are my prisoners now. Give you the money.
And they already waited 30
And they become embarrassed, they're going to pay. And add to your pay to get your freedom,
Slavery.
That's interesting. Then is it
No
no longer
people
valid?
required for Jumu'ah.
Because they're all slaves.
Someone that is opinion, actually 40 people or more. And 40 people, they have to meet the conditions I told you before. Male, free, resident, healthy. Okay? So all the people have to be 40 hours, like a Shafi'iyya like this.
Including the Khateeb?
Oh, good question. I'm including the Khateeb al-Muazzin. So 40 people, if they are together, then they do. And the condition طبعا that they have to be in a residential area, يعني فيها building. If they are tents, if people have tents, camping, they don't have Jum'ah. Some people used to live in tents before. It has to be bina, يعني it has to be, like that. But if they are outskirts of the town, then they don't have to have Jum'ah, except if they establish their own city or their own municipality or whatever they call it. Some said, there are about 15 different opinions. They have to be 40, they have to be more, they have to be less, they have to be 15. Each one of them took part of a hadith. That the first Jum'ah established was 40 people. But it does not mean anything, it just happened. The Prophet ﷺ make sure you are 40, and then he gives the khutbah. That didn't happen. Ijtihad of the ulama. طبعا the most correct that it does not that ما تجوز به الجماعة تجوز به الجماعة. يعني whatever you can make جماعة with, you can make جماعة with. And can do جماعة. That's why I tell people sometimes working, don't say that my work is far, I cannot make it to the masjid. Find another guy at your job who take 5 minutes and you can pray Jum'ah. One take the adhan, and one say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa kada, wa qul Allah ahad, Allah samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And he sits, and he stands, and he makes dua, wa aqim as-salat, Jum'ah, you get the work of Jum'ah, it's your need, necessity. And they tell students like that, they tell people like work like that. In pandemic we did like that too. Yeah. So the deen is flexible. But when you come here, it's a different issue, of course. All right. The place of Jum'ah, at old times it used to be a Masjid al-Jannah. Masjid al-Jannah. Masjid al-Jannah is where the people of the town gather for Jum'ah specifically. It's called Masjid al-Jannah. And تجمع فيه الجمعة. Other masajid, actually there is the opinion of Sahaba and all that, not to establish Jum'ah anywhere else. When there is a masjid that it is enough for the people, it is makruh to have Jum'ah in another masjid. But why you have Jum'ah everywhere? Because situation is different. And people drive and it is hard and they at work. Logistics change everything. So we have, this is called the Masjid Jama. If there are musallas there, but people do not actually have to go there, or they can come access it, they should come access it. But we cannot say that here in America because convenience and necessity. And it's not a convenience, it is a need, necessity. People want closest place for them to go for them. And everywhere is full, alhamdulillah. So we're good. Everywhere is full. But if this masjid is empty and you have small musallas here and there, we tell people, no. You come here. You fill this one in Jum'ah first. And when this one is full and capacity, then you can go, which is achieved now, alhamdulillah. طبعا, some of the scholars said the Jum'ah has to be done in the masjid, but Jum'ah can be done in different places. That's why the limit, could have been done at home, it could have been done here and there. But some of the scholars insisted that it has to happen in the masjid. Now ruling concerning the khutbah. I want you to have a rule of thumb. What is the rule of thumb? There is 2 conditions that all scholars agreed on. Any other condition, there are differences. When I say there are differences, معناها flexibility. That means what? Flexibility. What are the 2 main conditions that the Jum'ah, for the Jum'ah to be done? One is that it is done when it's time. It is done when it's time. And there is difference with the time, but it is to be done in this time. I do not do Jum'ah before Fajr. Do not do Jum'ah before Ishraq. Do not do Jum'ah after Maghrib. Okay? But the word time here has a That's what difference. Can I say? الجمعة is to be so الجمعة is to be done on its time. What is the time? As I told you, according to some scholars, the time starts from. According to the majority of scholars, the time is over. Some scholars say we can extend it to the evening, as long as it did not pay off. Right? So whatever time we are going with, Jum'ah has to be done at that time. It cannot be done after the time, like after Maghrib or before Isha. That's the first condition that all scholars agree on, with difference in detail. Right? And what is the second condition? That the khutbah has to happen before Salah. So if somebody prays first and then khutbah, it doesn't work. Eid, yes, but not a Jum'ah. الجمعة لازم تكون الايه؟ الخطبة قبل الصلاة ولا يفصل بينهما بفصل طويل. And do not separate between them with something unnecessary or something that's not from the khutbah. Of course, the Imam can sometimes the member is long, sometimes the member is far from the mihrab. And that time to take to move from here to there or arrange the sound system or do the iqamah, it's all right. It's ma'ruf time, you know. But don't just sit longer. Or if the Khateeb has an issue, he has stomach ache and he has to run to the wudu after the Jum'ah, somebody can leave the Salah if he has time, or people can wait for him. That's a necessity, right? But do not separate without. Those are the two conditions everybody agreed on. Is that clear? So have those two conditions in your head all the time. Timing and the khutbah before Salah. And we all do that. So we are in the same, correct? Any other condition is some mustahab, you know, it's okay, you know, but those are the rulings or the conditions for the Jum'ah. What about other conditions? You have, for example, يعني is Jum'ah Salah only or khutbah is obligatory or not, is differences among the scholars, right? What are the pillars of the Jum'ah? Those conditions, right? This is those are the conditions. But some say the condition has to be 40 people, the condition has to be with these people, and so that's debatable, right? Those are conditions. Now we come to the pillar of the Jum'ah. What is the main pillar of Jum'ah that everybody agreed on? Pillar of Khutbah. That everybody agreed on that it has to have the what you can call that you reminded people. A reminder for people. That people took something out of it. If you recited an ayah of the Quran, you took something out of it. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave khutbah before, recite the Quran only, Surah Qaf only. So as long as it is called in your culture or it's known among the people that that's a speech, it doesn't matter how short or long. Right? That is the condition that all of the scholars agreed on. So if somebody coming out to make an advertisement, that's not called Jum'ah. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah, if there is no Khateeb shows up, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use you, Brother Reza, here you are a Khateeb, but I'm going to use you as a masjid administration, right? So Brother Reza comes as a masjid administration, and brothers, sisters, there is no Khateeb today. Inshallah, please donate for the masjid, and these are our activities, وأقم الصلاة. Can this count as a khutbah? No. Even people took something out of it. But you understand when they say what is called the khutbah? Now you understand, right? So nobody can come and say something or share some idea or read from a different book to fill in that somebody is speaking. No, khutbah is not somebody speaking. Khutbah is someone advising the Muslim community. You have to keep that in your mind. That's very important. Someone comes and they say, oh, today I had an accident, or this and that, and that's why I'm late, and that and that, aqim salah. That's not khutbah either. You're saying what happened to you. That's not a khutbah. And that is why Shafi'iyya, for example, or Hanabila, they said that, يعني Ahnaf, they said khutbah only is to give what people consider khutbah. That's it. Right? As long as you remind people of something, that's it. And the Malikiyya said the same thing, but they added it that it has to have some maw'izah, some advice. It's not a reminder, only some advice. Now, the Shafi'iyya are the strongest ones, which I prefer in there. They said the khutbah has to have the hamd of Allah. You cannot say shukran, you have to say hamd, the word hamd. Ahmadullah, nahmaduhu, like that. Alhamdulillah, inna alhamdulillah, but you have to say the word hamd to Allah. And you cannot say alhamdulillah rahman. Yani this is very strict. Because the Prophet did that, right? Alhamdulillah. So you have to have a hamd. And then you have to mention the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Salah ala Rasul. So if somebody said alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah, this is okay. You say alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Rasulullah, it's even better. But you mention hamd of Allah and the salah on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you recite an ayah of Quran at least. You recite an ayah of the Quran at least, and you have to remind people with taqwa. To fear Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's why, if you notice, like my khutbah, for example, to avoid the issue of the khutbah has to be in Arabic or not Arabic, that's number one. And to get out of all the conditions of the khutbah, what you hear me always saying in the beginning, all of those. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونؤمن ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله etc. Right? خطبة الحاجة. They call it what? خطبة حاجة. You can modify whatever you like, but those are حمد وصلاة والرسول والشهادة, and then you recite what? يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته. So it is a verse and it has taqwa. You see? And the other one, يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم. And the other one, يا أيها الذين اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. Then you say ألا وإن أصدق الحديث. That's a subject matter right here. يعني that's a subject of a khutbah. أفضل الحديث كتاب الله، خير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، شر الأمور محدثاتها، وما قل وكثر خير مما كثر. عباد الله اتقوا الله. Until here كده you fulfill everything. So whatever is said in English is mashallah bonus. Make sense to you? But now you get over these conditions of the khutbah. Second khutbah, by the way, is sunnah. يعني a person can do one khutbah only and they do salah. That's why you read sometimes in the history قال كذا كذا وقال أقيموا الصلاة. فكان be khutbah, one khutbah only. But second khutbah, يعمل to rest and do the dua is good also. Almost done, inshallah. You greet the people طبعا when you come. That's the sunnah of Rasulullah. If you didn't, it's okay, but it will be weird, you know. Like you're going to come and say, say Assalamu alaikum to the people. But you cannot say, hi, how you doing, everybody? Don't do that. Right? So, everybody ready? Good khutbah today? Okay, let's go. Yeah, don't go that far. Alright? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And subhanallah, from my experience, you address people in how you say, strong, confident words.
Perhaps the heart.
طبعا, from your heart. This actually grabs people's attention for your khutbah. The way you present yourself. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You see? Oh man, good khutbah. Hanam, who does you know, so inshallah greeting of the Imam also is good. And we talked about the contents of the khutbah. طبعا you as an Imam have to be clean, presentable, you know, all of that. Dress as long as you are covered, you're good. But don't come with shorts and tight tops. You know, I'm allowed to do that. No, I would say you are not allowed to do that. Get out here. You know, someone is bitter, and you say this is bitter than you. It's not a good. It's not See, this is the idea. Not everything you're allowed to do means you can do. Or you could do. But that's the problem with youth, because I know that, right? When you're handling the youth, means, oh, just because I can.
Yeah.
And that's a good topic for football, by the way, for all of you. Just because I can. Make it like that, you know. I'll do this just because, why? Because I can. I can slap you also. Why slap me? Just because I can. So what prevents me? This is my whatever, that's my
It's my right.
that's my right not to be slapped. Also, it's my right to listen and look at someone nice. Correct? I came here for Jum'ah, I took off for someone to come and waste my time. Or does not do, you know, not because I can. Not everything you can, you
Sheikh Mullah, very good observation. Practice. Sometimes, I am the ammo for everyone. I don't like to criticize, especially with the hamster. But sometimes, that people, they come with a t-shirt and with the camera sometimes they have, images. If somebody behind you and you see the image, you go, just take
And that's what you need to remind the people all the time, that not everything you're allowed to, you should do or you could do. There is etiquette. You stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Would you go with this t-shirt to an interview for a new job?
Of course not.
No. Why? Would certain restaurants will not accept you to enter the restaurant like that. Certain places they tell you no slippers, right? No shorts. Certain places. Yeah, even some people, this is ajib, some people will not allow you fully clothed in a swimming pool.
That's so true.
You understand me? Like, like they say, you have to take off your clothes. And other places say you have to put on this clothes. And sometimes you have to be fully clothed. You have to be formal. Even when people invite you, sometimes they tell you what to dress. Yes? والله سبحانه وتعالى said يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد. يعني be in your full nice clothes in the كل مسجد. If that order means nothing to you, but that's also thank you. Like you have to tell everybody. So when you're standing in the khutbah also, stand straight and لا تكن كالمتماوي. somebody that want to die or something like that. That's also very important. And you stand during the khutbah only if a person is very sick or and he's grand imam or something like that. Allowed to do khutbah while sitting. Inshallah, on the delivery, we're going to talk about raising the voice and how you use the voice, and we're going to give some voice exercises, inshallah. But if you have any, can the imam interrupt his khutbah to talk to someone? Can someone talk to the imam only? Yes. People talk to each other? No. So a person can ask the imam, and the imam can talk to the people. Brother, sit down, no problem. You can, it's okay. Somebody confused, for example. Somebody does not know. Tell a person, oh, there is a place here. Please move forward. There's an emergency. Please help that person. So you can address people. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam even left the member, came down from the khutbah, from the middle of the khutbah, sat on a chair, taught al-A'rabi how to pray, then he came back again to the member. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam left the member, carried his granddaughter Umama, and brought her to the member because she was falling down in the masjid. But there are things like that for necessities or needs to address people. Now, yes.
So you mentioned like the imam can address the people or someone can address the imam. Sometimes there's like an admin knows that something is needed. Can he address the people?
No, the admin, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Please move forward.
Nobody should address the people except the imam. So you can give the imam the advice, please tell people to move forward. Like somebody, for example, come and he does like this to me. So I know now what he's saying, tell people to do that. But if it is an ultimate necessity, he can arrange the first Jum'ah and he can pray the second Jum'ah. Like people in Al-Haram, for example, the guards, they do not pray with the imam to guard the imam, right? Or they can address someone while the khutbah is going on because there will be danger or risk or life-threatening situation. but not just because of something can be done without.
Here's the big one. Can you replace the imam? Can the people go get the imam down?
Say that again?
Can the people force the imam to do that?
Force
Take him down.
or take him down from the khutbah.
Witness it.
لا هو this is not the sunnah. هو النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ordered us to pray even behind the people who commit major sin. Sahaba, they prayed behind people who kill left and right. Sahaba prayed behind somebody who was drunk. Drunk. And then he prayed Fajr 4 rak'ahs. الأمير بتاع المدينة was drunk. Drunk all night. And then he came and he prayed Fajr and he was drunk. So instead of 2 rak'ah, he prayed what? 4. So after Salam, they told him, you prayed 4. He said, you want more? والله هذا برضه صحيح يعني. الصحابة طبعا after رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يعني after أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي. There was still صحابة alive. Like عبد الله بن عمر وعاصم بن مالك one of the أمية يعني. So it was like that. But he came and left him like this one time. But they did not pull him out of the mihrab يعني. And then they did not pull him from the mihrab to replace him. لأنه الأمير هيموت الناس لو مسكته يعني. So now when the Khateeb is there, unless he starts saying kufr, you cannot take it out.
The subject of the matter just...
واحد يكلمنا يا أخي يا شيخ please change the subject or the topic.
We have to group here this
or يعني start the Jum'ah now لأن this is going to create a fitna. To address Sha'imah. And he's supposed to respect the people. He said, I quit, I don't get football, أقم الصلاة, somebody gets on.
That's what he did, you know.
Right.
What about the permissibility of one person giving the khutbah and someone else leaving it?
That's permissible, but it is not the sunnah. It is not like something preferable to do. The Khateeb is supposed to be able to lead the salah. And that is one of the, not the conditions of the validity, by the way, but it is a mustahab that the Khateeb is the imam. Meaning, like I am able to recite Quran enough to lead salah. So that's my advice. Everybody who's doing the khutbah, I'm not going to say I'm going to make it a condition, but I'm saying everybody who's doing the khutbah, you should go and review, if you are not hafiz or not read Quran, fix Surah Al-Fatiha and then more surah. And you read the salah, even if there is a hafiz of Quran in the audience.
Even if the imam is in the...
Yeah, doesn't matter. Even Sheikh Al-Azhar is sitting there. You give the khutbah, you read the salah. That's why many people, they see me sitting and they want me to read the salah. I said, no, you give khutbah, you read salah. Yeah, I'm reading better than you, but now it's a completely different rule. The Khateeb was imam, and that in itself has some weight in it. But why the khutbah? What for? Somebody can give a khutbah, 2-minute khutbah, but I need the salah to be perfect. يعني الصلاة, leading the salah is more important than the khutbah, by the way. It is more important than the khutbah. And people may not attend the khutbah at all and come for what? Salah. The salah needs to be done right. But that is a, what they call it, a plan B, to have that. But it is not something that you should be after. You should qualify all the khutbah to be able to read the salah. They don't have to be hafiz, but at least read Surah Al-Fatiha properly. Clear from why I'm saying this. Because if somebody makes a mistake in Surah Al-Fatiha, salah is invalid for everybody. Like if somebody comes and says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it's done. It has to be Alami. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, that's not also, not Surah Al-Fatiha. He can lead to people like him. And anybody like that, his salah to himself is sahih. Okay? Because he's trying, but his tongue is not helping. His salah for himself is sahih. And leading people like him is also sahih. But leading the jama'ah, they all have to repeat Zuhr now. And that becomes a problem. Okay? I'm not saying that during the khutbah, I'm saying during the salah. And if they fix during the salah, they also fix the ayat and the hadith that they are going to recite in the khutbah. They should review it beforehand. So please write down your ayat and your hadith and review it beforehand. How do you review it? Listen to it. Listen to it play it in the computer and listen to it. You want to make sure that you are doing it right? Come, can I read this ayat for you? Like that. 2 minutes. So in the khutbah, inshallah, you do it right. And once you do it, this ayah, when you quote it later, it will never be. So after a few months or so, you're good. You know? So fix the ayat and the hadith and the Arabic that you're going to say in the khutbah, and 5-10 surahs in the. And inshallah, we'll do that with the Haffaz. Yes.
Even if the Khateeb knows that he is not like Arabic language, and he knows that his Fatiha is not good, he can assign one to lead Salah.
Lead Salah. Should assign one to lead Salah, but we as a khutbah committee should do 2 things. And that's why I was telling Brother Danish, that the thing should be nobody should give khutbah except they recite Surah Al-Fatiha. I know it is not a shart of the Jum'ah khutbah, but it's a shart for the Imam of the Salah. Yani why you have to have 2 people? What if the masjid does not have 2 people? What will you do? You go there, give khutbah, ya akhi, do the work to read the Fatiha right. Yani this is the least you can do, subhanallah. You want to say Alhamdulillah, or you want to say Alhamdulillah. You have to learn how to Alhamdulillah. Learn. That's why, as I was telling the brothers, inshallah, we want to do the fiqh of the Jum'ah in details. Today is just to gather the topics, like a quick training, but later on, inshallah, we're going to do like sessions in details. Yes?
Does the Khateeb have to have wudu when given the khutbah?
هو الوضوء شرط للصلاة وليس شرط للخطبة. It's not a condition for the khutbah to have wudu, but it is a condition for salah. طبعا يعني you come down right away from this, wait until I do. But sometimes the Khateeb his wudu broke while he's giving khutbah. هنعمل ايه يعني؟ واكل اكل جديد شويه يليش هيدي كما يجيبوه.
Sorry to interrupt. You can wrap up.
Yeah, anybody have any type of question?
We have. This is like open time for all questions.
Yeah.
Can you say, so rhetorical question, and if people, like, we tend to ask questions and some people say yes, and unintentionally.
Yeah.
Also, can you joke and make people laugh? Is that, no?
Yeah. Well, I would have said that in the delivery, but in the Jum'ah, it's supposed to be like, majority of it's supposed to be based on seriousness. Yani serious, fair, straightforward. But having the sense of humor as a culture, if it helps and serves, which it does, it is okay, but don't overdo it. Don't start saying jokes and people, ha 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 ha, Some people, they do those things.
It's a comedy show.
Some people laughing loud. Like sometimes I even say something funny, but not that funny. And sometimes it scares me, صراحة. I'm scared. Am I that funny or what is going on? You know? Person laughs loud, you know. Even a few times that it's okay. So يعني في الجمعة دي majority of the time serious.
So the Jum'ah is valid if they laugh. Okay. And if you ask a rhetorical question, they say.
If you ask a rhetorical question, it's all right. Most of the time, I ask you, I said, I don't need an answer from you. Or, you know, then what is going to happen? When the Nabi said many times, rhetorical, ألا يفعل كذا وكذا, ألا يفعل, يعني he's not waiting for an answer from people. And he's not waiting for people's answer. And Allah Azza wa Jalla said those questions in the Quran, you know. ألا يظن أولئك أنهم مبعوثون. And he's not waiting for them to say, no, we don't, or yes, we are. He's not waiting for that, right? But Allah is asking the question for you to ponder, for you, أفلم يسيروا في الأرض قل انظروا فيما يعني. It's a proper question to, don't you know such and such? I'm not waiting for you to.
I think many people don't know this, so if they say yes, it's not good.
Because they're speaking to you. They're not speaking to each other. Any other questions? Yeah. Well, that's what I said in the beginning. يعني جمعة صلاة if it is done before Zuhr time enters, which is required, it's allowed according to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Huh? Huh? In the what?
Makruh time.
That's what I'm saying. You did not hear me when I say yeah.
Come to Jum'ah, the same lesson. They don't interpret that different way.
هو يعني the concept of having more than one Jum'ah, it is in the paper I sent you, the contemporary issues regarding that. It should not be based on convenience, it should be based on logistics. يعني logistics, parking lot sports, right? So instead of returning people and they miss Jum'ah, we say we have second and third Jum'ah for that, right? So it can be done, yes, and it can be done accommodating different events. يعني the early first Jum'ah can be earlier. طبعا anybody who's Hanafi is not going to pray that one, right? They're going to pray only once the prayer time finished, so I finish and the Zuhr time finished, they will pray, right? And then you can do one later, even Asr time enters, or the Maliki time.
Yeah, let's say that the first khutbah we follow the same routine, khutbah first, salah, and so forth. Now if we're going to go to other Imam come in for the second khutbah, he gives the lesson, and then stand up for
Bayan, bayan,
and then you find people they say, oh, I'm going to go for second khutbah because they follow this.
That's fine. Oh, I'll tell you something. I lived in Pakistan for 2 years. When I know Madrasa Islamiyya, they do that. In Asian Center, they do that. There's a few masjids in Houston, they do these things, right? Which is okay. And I went to the masjid and again. The bayan is not the khutbah. Bayan is just a lecture. Consider it's not part of any Jum'ah lecture. This stand up and give a lecture, that's a lecture. Yani, this is not considered Jum'ah or khutbah Jum'ah or anything. It does not have any religious classification. What counts as a religious classification? When he comes on the member and say the khutbah in Arabic. That's why some said the conditions it has to be in Arabic. So the khutbah, all of the khutbah, he has to say in Arabic. That's why they don't say much. Yani they say the words and the ayah and the hadith and sit and another dua. But that's what counts for them as a Jum'ah. But since they want people to be reminded, they give that long bayan. But that long bayan is not actually any part of anything. Alright? So and the Jum'ah is when the Khateeb comes on the member and then he prays. That's why some people don't go for that bayan. They go for the 5 minutes Jum'ah. Very nice. Jum'ah 5 minutes.
Easy.
Easy. Alright, anybody else?
I have 2 questions. Can the Imam ask a question and expect a response?
ممكن if he expects a response from a specific person, but to ask everybody, they don't create chaos. But it happened at the time of Sayyidina Umar that they said that Uthman ibn Affan came late one time, and Sayyidina Umar and he wanted to sit. He told them, why are you sitting? He told them, came late. He told them, pray. The Prophet himself did that. But you can address one person, you can address a group that they talking to each other, say stop talking to each other. Tell them this group, please move forward. There's no problem. They answer you no problem.
What if it's like an actual part of his khutbah, not just he's addressing someone to?
That's a part of the khutbah is to ask the question?
Yeah.
Avoid. It's better to avoid it. But if he is asking the people question and expecting an answer, I don't know how it's going to be done, but as I said, if you can control it, there is nothing saying that it will invalidate the khutbah. But it's not from the Sunnah. How about you? How about you? Did you pray for it? How about you?
I'm reading from the list on the WhatsApp group that you put. So, saying Ameen when something is fine, you can do dua.
When the Musallin, the Imam makes the dua, there is two things. Can the Imam raise his hand? No. It's a sunnah for the Imam to point with his finger. اللهم اغفر لنا اللهم ارحمنا اللهم عافنا وعنا. You only raise your hand if it's istisqa, asking for rain. And the people raise their hand also no. But can they say Ameen after your dua? Yeah. They can say Ameen.
So everyone who does that, is it
It is bid'ah. It is not sunnah to raise your hand behind the imam in the khutbah.
But it doesn't invalidate.
It doesn't invalidate.
And then here, how do the Muslims continue prayer if the sound of the imam is cut off due to sound problem?
Very good question, and it happened here in this masjid before. Like if I'm doing the salah and the sound system is off. The brother is upstairs, the sister is here. You change your intention to finish it. Finish it before.
But do you keep leading whoever can hear you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those who can hear you, they have to follow. And in the masjid here, they can hear me, somebody can read it. But those who are outside, if they see the lines, they follow the line. If you see the line, you follow the line. If you don't see the line and you're cut off, you change your intention that you are munfarid now. You are not in a jama'ah now. You are separating yourself. But now you do not know the imam is doing what. And now you are alone by yourself. You are not going to finish Surah Al-Jumu'ah.
The imam loses his wudu during salah.
Then you can appoint somebody and finish Jumu'ah.
Does he say salam or just
No,
exit?
it doesn't matter. You broke your wudu, خلاص.
Mid-ayah, you stop and just...
And he just exits and
He just
brings some...
Yeah, you just move out from it. So you are not in salah anymore. You come and grab. And when you are grabbed, استسلم.
Sheikh, does the person continue from where you stop, or do they?
Yeah, if he is in the middle of al-Fatiha, it's better to stop. Fatiha. If he is in the middle of another surah, you don't have to finish that surah. You can read any surah.
What if it's a sajda?
He moved out from the sajda, you go continue the sajda.
But you just pick up from wherever they left off.
Pick up from wherever.
Imagine getting touched mid-sajda.
He's in the sajda, then he wake up and he grab back from the sajda.
He's going to get
very scary.
The people in the back won't know what happened. This guy changes his voice.
Muslim is exceeding them in the middle of the masjid. Non-Muslim, sorry.
That was an issue with the contemporary thing. It will not invalidate the salah of the people in the saf, but it is not something preferable. They should have some arrangement in the back of the masjid, not in the middle of the sufuf. The non-Muslims sitting in the middle.
Of the jama'ah. And women attending khutbah to learn while on their period.
That's fine. According to some of the scholars, the women can sit, but don't sit in the musalla. They can sit on another arranged place. But you can read the answer for all that.
Oh, it's in the and then I think it would be helpful to do a brief review of Sujood Sahwi.
Yes.
Requirements.
Well, that's what we'll do, inshallah. Anybody have any questions?
Sheikh, can you reiterate what you said in the beginning about coming for salah early? Like for third khutbah, sometimes I come early just so that Brother Rizza and admin know that I'm going to be here, but also to make sure I have a mu'adhin. So what did you say again? It's fine to come in?
I'm not saying that you must, there is no way around it, you have to come late. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Even if you come early and you sit here and you pray 2 rak'ah, it's okay, but ليس هذا السنة. This is not the sunnah for you as Khateeb. Can you do that? Yeah. You come here early. Yes. Sometimes actually I advise people who travel long to arrive at the masjid early because you need to renew your wudu, you need to go to the bathroom, you need to get an out. The culture is completely different. جزاكم الله خير. We'll stop here now, and inshallah we'll break for lunch, then we'll come for the delivery inshallah. Inshallah, we're not using that, so we're going to be interacting with each other. How many of us here know the different types of speech? Like, when you give a speech, you're giving a speech. Can you come up with what kind of speeches that you give before or people give or just off your mind?
Like persuasive speech.
Education, academic. That's a lecture, not speech.
Like persuasive.
Persuasive what?
Speech.
Like what?
Like you're trying to persuade somebody to listen to you or like to agree with what you're thinking or to agree with something. And then there's informative speech just to inform people about stuff.
Motivation.
Okay. All right. Mesh. And what I want to address is the type, the style of speech. The style that you give the speech. Like when you are asked, for example, to speak. If I ask Taqi now, I said, Taqi, tell us a maw'idah. Tell us advice. Sheikh, please give khatira. You heard that a lot, right? Sheikh, please give us khatira. Now I'm going to address you, right? Was I prepared?
No, not yet. I mean,
right?
Impromptu.
That's called impromptu. Actually, that's the name of the speech. It's called what? Impromptu. Remember that. Because we're going to do like an exercise now. Impromptu. Impromptu is like when you are put on the spot. Because sometimes you're going to be put on the spot.
That's why being cameraman is nice.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Impromptu. Like, what if, like Brother Arif, Sheikh Arif said, that you give a lecture or an academic. That's called manuscript. What is it called? Manuscript. There is a paper and you're reading from.
Based on.
Yes. So people give, like the president will come and read.
So
That's called, huh?
impromptu is ihtijari?
Yeah, tijari. This is impromptu. And then you have manuscript. You have something similar to the manuscript, but you're not reading from the paper. You memorize it. That is called memorize. Memorized speech. So memorized speech means there is some material, and you read, and you keep repeating, so you don't have to look in the manuscript. I will say why in a minute. So we have impromptu, you have manuscript, and you have memorized. What is the third, the fourth, and the most important one that we are going to be talking about, and that fits our khutbah? It's called extemporaneous. It's a big word. Extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous. E-X-T-E-M-P-O-R-A-N-E-O-U-S. Extemporize, and you are saying something spontaneous, but there's an outline in your head. You use postcards. You use the outline. And you thought of what you see. You are not reading word for word. Extemporaneous. Each one of those has its benefits and has its disadvantages. Each one of those has its benefits and its disadvantages. Impromptu. It is good when people tell you, speech. Right? Or somebody tell you, Sheikh is not here today. Please, go ahead. Man, your beard looks so good. That's how it works in reality. In reality, that's how it works. They look, who's the biggest beard here? يلا. حظك كده. Impromptu. Impromptu, you don't have time to prepare. You may have something in your head, especially if you are a senior, like someone, so impromptu doesn't become a problem. You're ready for all occasions. Right? But actually the shock itself takes a lot from you. So basically, you need to do certain things to overcome that. And I'm going to go one by one, right? So impromptu now, the good thing is, you are going to give a speech on the spot, you solve a problem, you stand up to the occasion, all this good stuff, right? But what is the major problem? Preparation. Preparedness. You know, how prepared you are. Who can suggest to me something that will help you get over that?
Having a lot of knowledge.
What have you done?
Getting over what? Stage fright?
Huh?
Getting over what? Stage fright?
Not necessarily that you don't have stage fright. The only problem is that you are not prepared. We're going to solve that now. How are we going to solve it?
Always be prepared.
Anyway, that's a way to look at it. After today, you kind of prepare in your head. That's actually a way. That if I'm asked to give a khatira after Isha, what I'm going to be speaking about, so I have 2-3 subjects in your head, and that's it. Actually, that's the way, you know, but that's a long-term plan. and then you go over it. Like for example, for me, all the interfaith questions over the 30 years, I arranged them in a document by code: red, orange, yellow, and green. Green, anybody can talk about. Yellow, you need preparation because there will be some controversial issue. Orange, you need scholarly research. And red, you need experience. And you, plus O. So this anybody can read with average information. This is average information plus some preparation. This is average information plus preparation plus scholarly research. This is all of those plus you have to have wisdom and experience. Otherwise, not anybody can answer those things. So now, basically, if I go to any church, any synagogue, any place, and they ask me, it's not impromptu anymore. I know them already. I went over this like many times. I memorized those questions. So when they talk, I said, good question. Actually, that's what I just did now is one way to handle impromptu speeches. Oh, mashallah, man, you always put me in the spot. I'm buying time now. And I'm just talking to you now, right? You always put me in the spot. I was not expecting this, but inshallah, Allah make it easy. Inna alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, and you are working things out. I'm telling you as this because this is important for you. It's important for you. You understand? And then you start making dua. Start with the dua. May Allah bless our gathering as He gathered us here today to gather us in Jannah. So now you are comforting yourself and you are gathering your thoughts and you are getting a thread. The impromptu, when you panic and you switch, you lost it already. You might be actually very qualified to give, but don't let the situation mess you up. So you have to. And also another technique of getting over being on the spot is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing. Brother Zabidi, suggest something to me. Suggest a topic. Go ahead. Give me a suggestion.
Sheikh, can you speak about how divorce in Islam?
MashaAllah.
It's already frank.
Now let me say I don't know. Let's say, I'm going to say divorce in Islam, Brother Zabidi, you touched a very big subject. You know? It is a big problem, and it is not only in America, it is all over the world. SubhanAllah, I just came from Egypt, and now you see, I haven't talked about anything yet. You see, but I am.
But your mind is already.
My mind is working, and I'm looking. It's like you are there, and you're looking for which door, which entrance. But don't be shocked with it. Rayyan, suggest another one. Zakah. Zakah in Arabic is from purification. Subhanallah, the name of zakah is not even related to financial or money or anything like that. But the word is from purification. So zakah is a word based on the fruit that happens. And then zakah in Islam is to 4 or 5% and you go from there. Right? Now can I reverse it now? Can I reverse it now? Huh? Faris, I want you to tell me something about the biggest challenge that's facing the youth in our community. Faris, yeah, stand up and sit down, it's up to you.
There's a lot of issues that are facing our
community. Where is Alhamdulillah? Yeah, that's a training now.
Where is the dua for you?
What is the dua? Even if we know, don't jump.
Yeah.
Because you're going to miss one of the points. But while you are saying Alhamdulillah, Wallahi, have to be barakah in it. Allah comforts your heart. The angels surround you, the mercy comes of Allah, then your mind becomes clear because now you are comfortable. Then your points will come one after that. Right?
Okay. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa ba'd. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our youth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify our youth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a understanding of what is going on with our youth. There's so many issues going on with our youth nowadays. Where can we start and where can we begin?
See, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to start with the subject is too big. Very good. That's what I wanted to hear. I don't want to hear the details. Just the entrance is the most important thing. But what you avoid is never ever apologize that you're not ready. Never ever in any speech say I'm not ready. Or say I'm not an expert, so why you're speaking to us? You know, by the way, I'm not a scholar. Don't give khutbah. I'm just telling you, that's a problem. You have to have the confidence, but not overconfidence. You know, like when you address people, people here trusted you in your position to give something. We're still talking about that impromptu, right? Impromptu speech. Impromptu speech, always you are called upon with little or no time. And sometimes also impromptu speech, Brother Rizal will come and say, Sheikh, the Khateeb apologized. That's 1 hour before Jumu'ah. Still it's impromptu. Or 5-10 minutes, or on my way coming. That's impromptu. Still, impromptu doesn't mean on the spot. Yani you give it also little time, not enough to prepare that topic. Sometimes topic needs preparation. Oh, we have a gathering here. Please speak to them. Like yesterday, I came in when the candidates were here. Oh, our Imam walked in, let him speak.
About politics,
I was not ready. I expected, by the way, I expected that I may speak, but I did not expect it to be that quick. I was thinking, candidates and all that. Then at the end, I'm going to say thank you all for coming, and I prepared something in my head, talk about some of the politics and election and all of that, and ready. It's still impromptu, huh? Even with all of that, still called what? Impromptu, because I never thought that I would speak all day long until I came here. But then it came even impromptu. But then you have to be confident, and then you welcome the people. You talk about the audience. Then I say, oh, this is the process in the United States, democracy, right? All of that kind of thing. Welcome and good luck. And if you calculate the words I spoke about the subject, there are 2 or 3 sentences only. But there were 3-4 minutes, general stuff. But at the end, people will remember only the 2 or 3 sentences that you spoke about related to it. So that's impromptu. Most of the time, impromptu speech, you are called upon because you are the expert. But sometimes it's not the case. So when I say that I'm talking to you now, a khutbah, you give khutbah impromptu because you know how to give khutbah, but you will not prepare. So remember that. Remember that you give khutbah, you know how to give khutbah, you know what a khutbah is, but you're not ready to give it now. That's the only part. So don't let that confuse everything else. Oh, what should I say? No, you know what to say. And if I tell you you're going to give khutbah next week, would you be panicking like this? No. So why are you panicking now? Tell me, why are you panicking now?
Information.
Lack of information? You have the information.
Preparation.
It's the preparedness, like the self-confidence. Oh man, I'm afraid to fail. Remove that part, inshallah your impromptu will be fine. Is that okay? And always have, as Faris said, always be prepared for 2-3 things that you can say at any time. Now the problem is, I'm smarter than you, I'll come and say, speak about this. And this is mostly the questions you ask a scholar all the time. That's why they said, how do you know a scholar is a scholar?
Ask him questions.
Ask him questions. It's not to tell him to speak about a topic, but ask a question. I don't know what question you're going to ask. Then you know how much information I have. Also, impromptu cannot be like 20-minute speech. That's not impromptu anymore. Impromptu should be like a short. So if you are called upon to speak, make sure it is short. Don't extend long, because now you are going to blabber. You are going to go around because you are not prepared already. So now confidence will be there, but without material. You understand? So you don't have material already for this occasion. So confidence is the issue. You got over it. So be careful not to be persuaded to go over. So 3 minutes, 4-5 minutes, and that's it.
Sheikh, is there like a quote-unquote time limit for what is impromptu and what is prepared?
What's that?
Is there like a time limit? Like if you tell me, Faris, do the Sunday morning lecture, and you tell me that after Aisha, would that still be impromptu?
No.
Okay.
No, because you have all message. As I said in the definition, you are called upon to speak with little or no time to prepare. Remember the word, little or no time to prepare. Yani the time is not enough. You know, for me, you have to tell me that I'm going to give the khutbah at least 3 hours before. Not because I have to go read it, because I want to collect myself. I want to collect my thoughts. I want to put them in order. Like a speech I gave yesterday, that's prepared over a week. And every day I'm editing in my head. I'm having the notes in front of me. I am rearranging. What should I say first? What should I say second? This and that and that. Until you come, it's not memorized, but I know where to do what. That's extemporaneous speech. You know exactly where to do what. One can come forward. One can come, a hadith can come that I was not prepared for, but that's okay. You have the outline. We'll come to that in a minute. So always take a moment to collect your thought. You have to thank the people that invited you. You know, say the Salah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make your main point brief. Find the main point. Like Ryan told me about zakat. You know. So then I make a main point about the zakat. Zakat is the 4th pillar of Islam, or the 3rd pillar of Islam. Always zakat is associated with salah in the Quran. Zakat is to be taken from the rich to the poor. That's the main point. And then try to branch off from that. And I'll come to branching off in a little bit after I give you all the 4 speeches. If you can use a structure in the impromptu, remember things like the main reason of this talk is 2 main aspects of this subject are, you know, this is a very important technique. Whenever you are called upon to speak about something, you have a general idea about it, right? But have structural keys.
Framework.
Huh?
Framework.
What's that?
They call it a framework.
Framework. Yeah, you're going to say, this topic is always talking about in the media. This topic is always addressed in our masajid. This topic is always the problem with that you know. So this topic is famous for what? This topic is talking about what? There are 3 main components of this you know. So always find this framework. So this will apply to every subject, any subject. I talked to you and I said, oh, that is the, like I said, where to begin, where to end. And I said, oh, that is the topic of the day. Oh, this is the disease of the world now. Oh, it is not an issue only in America. You know, like, this is like the key words that would help you get over like that. Once you find that now you're going to say nonsense, stop. I'm serious. I go through this sometimes, but the persuasion of talking and people sitting and smiling makes you go on. You don't have substance, خلص. End this. They say, finish. Stop talking, better than rambling on. Is that clear about the impromptu speech? The impromptu speech is most successful when it is brief and focused. Once it goes out of briefness and focus, no good. It will stay impromptu, but it's not good. Alright? Now, how will you train yourself for impromptu speech? Do it a lot.
Do what?
Do it a lot.
Oh.
With your family, with your friends, in the parking lot. Speech is a speech. They even say one of the main manifestations of impromptu speech is answering questions. Now we have manuscript speech. You know what a manuscript is? Manuscript is like something written. Somebody wrote it for you. You are a congressman. Your people prepare. You are the president. You will prepare the speech. News bulletin. You are reading the news. They have the screen in front of them, teleprompter, right? And this is the manuscript speech. What are the main defects of manuscript speech? What the main shortcomings, the disadvantages? Who can tell you?
Doesn't feel like from the heart.
Confined.
Right? And that's,
no emotion to it.
And that's counterproductive for the khutbah.
Not engaging.
Not engaging. How? What do you mean by engaging?
Any eye contact is missing.
Eye contact is missing.
The tone is probably monotone.
Right.
confined to a specific set of words.
Body language.
Makes the person sleepy, your audience. Especially if it's not interesting. Like sometimes I'm very interested in the manuscript you're reading, but not everybody, right? So manuscript will not be a good thing for khutbah except for somebody training, somebody in the beginning. But reading is not a good thing. Reading everything, you have to look at people. Once you move your eye away from the people, they drop. They are somewhere else now. So be careful.
Question, is it happening to other countries? I mean, like in Malaysia, they prepare the text. I mean, the imam has to read from the manuscript. Is it happen to?
Yeah, it happens everywhere. Now, people become accustomed to that. So they are going to the khutbah as a ritual. Going to the khutbah, the imam is going to tell us something, everybody saying the same, I go, pray and leave. But that's not what we are catering to here.
Yeah.
Here we are catering to people who want to learn something. Yeah. But in our Muslim countries, people pray every day. They may also listen to, it's not a bad thing, by the way. Yani khutbah is supposed to be also for reminder. But here, people only come for the Jum'ah. People only come for 10-15 minutes. So you need to be on top of your game. I mean, that cannot a khutbah to recite and read, and that's it. So you have to be also aware of that. So manuscript speech is completely written out, and then it is read. It is not effective in persuasion. When you try to convince people with something, it's not effective. When is it effective? If I'm teaching people in the khutbah, wudu, for example. I'm teaching people the ahkam. First hukm, that. Second hukm, that. Okay. It was ahkam, right? But if I am telling people how to behave, or their morals, or a problem to fix, or an issue, or a challenge, you cannot read from a paper. Make sense? And you have to prepare yourself for that. There is no relationship with the audience, as the Faris mentioned. And it is appropriate in situations that have specific wordings. Who can give me an example? There are situations that you have to speak in a specific way. In court, like a lawyer has to speak, he has to use certain terminology. Okay? You're defending yourself. You are making a testimony. Alright? So that you can read. You can give a lecture in college or something like that. You read. Like you're in a speech of opening of something or this or that. You will have to read it so you do not make mistakes. Mistakes will make a problem. Being free will have an issue with it. So you have to stick to the text as they said. So it is good, but in our subject matter here, it's not going to be our optimal choice. Impromptu is good for khatira. If you're called upon, you're not prepared, but you're feeling it's all right, and you know the situation, make it brief. For the written, if you are doing some ahkam, some ruling, but for khutbah al-Jum'ah, it is not the best or the optimal way.
Sheikh, what if you're, let's say you're doing khutbah for all of the people of Houston? Would you do a manuscript?
No.
Okay, even that.
But as I said, part of the khutbah can be manuscript. I gave a khutbah like that before when it was about the domestic violence, if you remember. Good. I had papers in front of me. Part of it I was reading verbatim. Statistics and all of that. So you have to read and your eye will be there, and people, you will not lose people. You already grab their hearts and their emotions, so that part is not the whole thing. So you have to know what you do, alright? And that comes with experience. So then you have to memorize the speech. Memorized speech is like manuscript, but much better. Why? Because you have the communication. People think that you know it. But if you are not skilled in delivery, it will be as boring. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, inna alhamdulillah. Inshallah today we are talking about the subject that you are reading, but from your digital copy you get. You are busy with recollecting the ideas, and you are afraid to miss one line, and because you are working on remembering, you are not working on delivery now, so you have a problem. Now, our optimal way is the extemporaneous speaking. It is the presentation of a carefully planned and rehearsed speech. I'm underlining that. Rehearsed speech. unless you have 20, 30 years of experience, you need to rehearse your speech. I remember when I was in college, I used to sit in our living area, close the door of the living room, and stand on the couch. I used to bring my two brothers, Ahmed and Ayman, when they were young, and they sit there while they're eating their sandwiches. They're like, please, I'm giving them the speech. I'm giving them the speech while they have no clue why the big brother is telling us to sit because he's going to give us chocolate or candy or something. But you know, that's a way to do. You know, that's a way to rehearse. You rehearse in your backyard. Imagine the trees are people. Imagine people in front of you, and use use your imagination in how to do that. So now, in extemporaneous speech, you use postcard. You have the outline in your head. You know, I'm going to start with Quran, or I'm going to start with the story, or I'm going to start. You already know in your head. You don't have the exact pinpoint words, but you know exactly the topic. And always remember it like that. I have a technique myself, and I want to share with you. Can everybody imagine like a tree of your choice in your head? Tree. Okay. Ryan, what tree you imagine? Huh? Oak? Who else? Give me a different tree.
Coconut tree.
Oh, I have
Coconut tree. Huh?
Palm.
Or date palm.
Yeah, palm tree.
Citrus.
Citrus. All right. So we have citrus, we have coconut, we have oak, and we have
Date palm.
date palm. Now, this tree has a part in the ground, and then has a part above ground. The part underground has different formations, and the part above ground has a different shape. Right?
Yes.
I want you to have your ideas of the khutbah exactly like the tree of your choice. What would be the root for the oak tree? What would be the root for the citrus? What would be the root for the date palm? What would be the root of the coconut? I want you to imagine that root under. The date palm tree, for example, it's a huge root, big, deep root. So your foundation of the topic, you have to spend some time in it, by doing it properly. And then, what would be the main idea coming out from that? Then how are we going to branch off, right? What are the leaves and what are the fruits? Those are your ideas. The fruits come out in the second khutbah. That root is in your head. That stem is what you're going to tell people who are talking about such and such. Then you're branching off, like yesterday I was talking about the role modeling, right? So in my the root is what Brother Rizal said. We have a plan. We are doing this because this is the foundation of building the Jama'ah, right? That's my foundation. It shouldn't be yours, but I'm just thinking about mine. My foundation is much bigger than anybody else. Because I'm the Imam of the Jama'ah, right? Then you know the topic is role modeling. Now you have the positive role modeling, anti-role modeling, this role modeling. Then from each branch, there are sub-branches. You know, somebody bigger than you, somebody like you, somebody lower than you. I was speaking like that. And the fruit at the end, you know, is like you have to have a role model in your life, you have to share the same beliefs, and we have that in our Islam, and people get that at the end. So have that. That is one way to look at your ideas. This way you don't get lost, whether it is impromptu or extemporaneous or anything like that. So when you are preparing the speech, imagine the tree in your head and the drawing in your head. This way, you don't have to remember much. You don't have to look to manuscript. Now understand why, you know, all the sheikhs and all of that, they kind of like give the speech and it's like as if they are reading, but they're not reading. اعمل الشجرة بتاعتك. يعني learn your own tree and focus on it. This way, if you are going left or right, you're going to come back again. Now I'm going to the branch before this. Now I'm in that branch. And that's why you can go, but then you come back again. And then you go to the next branch, and so on. So this is very, very important. So you can use notes, and you say, okay, the root, the stem, the branch number 1, branch number 2, and the sub-branch A, B, C, D, right? And that's how you go, as if you are reading, but you're not reading. You are actually reminding yourself. Here I'm going to talk about role modeling. Role modeling from the Quran, role modeling from the Sunnah. Quran says like this, 1, 2, 3. and the number 1 has ABC. So you have it in front of you, but then you are looking at the people and speaking, and this is just to remind you at the end. So extemporaneous is the best thing to do. Now, since we have no time for the Salat al-Zuhr, right?
We have Brother Nadir.
Yeah, needs to do closing. But before Brother Nadir comes, I want 3 volunteers only. 3 volunteers to come out here. Come on. One of the young guys are.
One of the young guys.
تعال ريال. Come on, Ryan. I want each one of you, see, I'm going to suggest something for you, which is impromptu, right? And then, once I point at you, you pick up. So you're not going to speak everything, right? About everything, okay? I want you guys now to be speaking about taking care of this masjid to the community. Start with another.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Good. To take care of our masjid, first of all, inshallah, we have to have the right intention with why we're doing this. And then we make a lot of dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us, because really we can't do everything by ourselves.
Thank you. Really. Carry from there. I know, Rafaq. Just say it. Say anything about taking care of the masjid. Just say whatever comes in your head. Ayman.
It's our responsibility and your responsibility and your responsibility. It's one community. We have to move forward with creating.
Brother Rizal.
And we have to work together. We have to see what are the needs. We're a very wide community, and sometimes we need this hall to be clean. Sometimes we need.
As Brother Ayan said, we have to really ground ourselves that where are we? We are in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should take care of it more than we take care of our own home.
Allah says in Surah Asr, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ.
Perfect, guys. MashaAllah, you are professionals. Thank you, guys. Very good. But you understand my point.
I was the whole time. The whole time. I can see
You understand my point, right? My point is not like hard. You have the information. You just have to get over the situation. Imagine now if you said things that make sense. Each one of those who spoke today spoke about something big. From Quran, from the Sunnah, it is your responsibility, our masjid to take care of, it is your responsibility. You know, everybody actually said something nice. Nobody said a word out of nowhere. So, if you write it together, you can listen to the video. They just maybe need some rearrangement. Imagine if you prepare right. If you say that without preparation, imagine if you are prepared and you come to the khutbah rehearsed and everything, and you stand on the member comfortably. You look nice, you look presentable, you look good, and then you start your speech saying Alhamdulillah, take your time, say the Salah of Rasulullah properly, smile at people, and at the same time you are mashallah standing strong, and then you will find the subject matter coming very smooth and very easy. Now, last thing I want to mention, your tone. You notice what I'm saying now? Like I'm not speaking like in a very monotone like this. No, I'm actually saying like this, I'm speaking and I'm using my hands, my eyes, all of this gives different feeling to the people. So make sure you are not using monotone. When you are reading Quran, read Quran straightforward. I don't want you to make melodies and stuff like that. Read Quran straightforward. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. O you who believe. See the translation now? Different tone. O you who believe. O you who fear Allah Azza wa Jalla. See now, you go from up, you go what? Down. Now if you are warning about people about something, Subhanallah, this is what Allah Azza wa Jalla is warning us. Now I want you to imagine the people in Jannah, sitting in front of each other, and those who are in hellfire. You see the misery in hellfire. You see the tone, how the tone changes? But people in hellfire are being punished. while the people in Jannah are enjoying, and the people in hellfire are miserable, and the people in Jannah are happy. What is this? You know? So you have to live what you say, you know? Live what you say. And inshallah will continue, but I hope this training touched a little bit here and there, and inshallah we'll have more detailed ones with cooperation with ISDH, inshallah, bigger organization. Inshallah we should have more professional, focusing only on delivery, focusing only on skill, focusing only on that. More to come, inshallah. Yes, that is
Okay, just a quick tip for our young brothers. If you have a problem with eye contact, and a lot of us wear glasses, remove your glasses. I'm serious. You're going to see blurs in front of you and you're not going to care.
Ahsan. My dad, Sheikh Mustafa, when I started my first khutbah when I was in high school, I was extremely scared, shivering, and I could not do it. He said, son, next time, look at the wall at the end of the masjid. Like when you are in the member, you know, look at the door. You see that sign in the door in the back, the emergency exit? It said, keep reading it all the time. Everybody will think you are looking at them while you are looking at the windows up there. So inshallah,
if I look at my siblings, like they'll start laughing. I can't look at my siblings. Can't look at what? My siblings. Let me eye contact with my brothers, my sister, like
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair, everyone for coming here. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for the visa, for arranging this, everybody for help. Subhanallah, I came so late. There are a lot of things I have learned myself. So let me try to do the last of it. I'm forgetting what I have to say. So really this is, I think it should be just first workshop of many to come. Because especially the crowd we have during Jummah, we have almost 2,000 times 25, we have almost 800 man hours to just push our message across. And as Sheikh said, if we are prepared and if we can connect with the audience, we can really make an impact. Because as Sheikh said, we have 15-20 minutes for people who just come for Jummah. And so that's the time we have to capture. And alhamdulillah, I'm really blessed that Masjid al-Salam is taking the initiative. So that's this is very long term, and I'm really glad to see the young faces here. I'm sorry, Sheikh, you are all and out. and I really agree with Brother Faris' suggestion to take this because I had the same issue. And once I take it out, I have no issue who has seen me on practical basis and what he's saying. So I feel really comfortable once I take my glasses off. So that's one of the things definitely good life. So again, everyone.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you to every especially the young guys to come and this to go a long way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.